Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Schenkel, and I'm the chair of ANC 2C. I'd like to welcome you to our October ANC 2C community meeting. We have a fairly full agenda this evening. I would first like to start out by asking the commissioners to introduce themselves, and I will start with Commissioner Strauss.
Yeah, Becky Strauss, representing 2C02, which is downtown K Street.
And is Commissioner Lee on yet? Don't think I see him yet. My name is Michael Schenkel. As I had indicated, I am at ANC for 2C01, which includes Chinatown and Penn Quarter areas. As I had indicated, we have a fairly full agenda this evening. I'm just going to share the agenda with you all. Our agenda can be accessed. Whoa, sorry about that. Oh, little much there. Hold on. There we go. Our agenda can be accessed on our website at anc2c.us, and that is available for download for you to view. We are going to start off this evening with some administrative businesses, have some community announcements from our respective DC government offices. We're also going to hear from the downtown DC bid. We will have a presentation this evening, an update regarding the Green Court shelter. And the Chief of Staff, David Ross, will be joining us for that presentation. We also have one event on our consent agenda, and this is an event that's going to be held at the MLK Library. We also have a community update that was requested regarding the Throne bathrooms and its placement on 7th Indiana Avenue and 7th Street. And we'll hear an update about that. We do have one APCA license to review this evening, and that is related to Tip Thai, which is a new restaurant coming to Indiana Avenue, or is already open on Indiana Avenue, and they have applied for a liquor license. We do have want to discuss the new guidelines for the permanent streetery program, and this is an extension of that program until July, extension of the temporary program until July 31st, 2025. One item that we wish to add to tonight's agenda is the no left turn on 11th Street, which I neglected to put on the agenda. We had tabled that from our last meeting, and we will pull that forward. The following two items, an update on the Capital One Arena renovations, has been postponed until the November meeting. So we will give additional updates about that renovation project and its impact on the community. We may also be doing a special meeting related to that in November. We're still working out the details of that. Additionally, we are removing from tonight's agenda the 425 8th Street historic preservation, an application for a concept. They needed some more time to review that application, and they'll be providing a feedback to us at a later date. And we have one other item of business, and this is the support of a bottle deposit law in DC, and we'll hear about that presentation. We'll hear about that proposal as well. Are there any additional items, commissioners, that we wish to add to the agenda?
Now I move to approve the agenda.
Let's to ask first, if I may, are there any individuals in the community that wish to add an item to the agenda? Then Commissioner Strauss, I will move forward with your motion, and I will second that motion. And all those in favor, if you could just please raise your hand. So 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor of that. So we will move forward with this agenda with the revisions that we discussed. Next on our agenda, we did not receive the minutes back from our last meeting. I had inquired about those earlier today and have not heard back from the minute preparation company as of yet. If we get them during the meeting, I will allow time for the commissioners to review those as we move forward. We do have several items to approve regarding the treasurer's report. And if you give me 1 second. This is for FY24 Q2 QFR that was published. We already had initially approved this revision. However, we approved a revision to the original FY24 Q2 QFR without reporting a transaction totaling $1,230. The new ending balance of the FY24 Q2 QFR is $67,599.58. So that includes that transaction of $1,230 that was neglected, that was left off that financial report. I would like to move that we accept the revised FY24 Q2 QFR.
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lee. Terrific. Welcome, Commissioner Lee. I will just pull you onto my main screen. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, terrific. Do you want to take over with
I sat down with Ms. Dawn Dickerson this afternoon, and she asked that I think there was like a timing difference of when we approved this and when the checks hit our accounts. And so when we approved it, the checks hadn't cleared yet. So now that the checks cleared, she asked that we revise our quarterly financial report to reflect the fact that the checks that hit our accounts, the checks had cashed, and it reflected a change in the amount at that time. So she asked us to please report that the new ending balance of the fiscal year 2024 Q2 quarterly financial report is $67,599.58, which reflects a difference of $1,230 from the report that was approved. So she simply just asked that we acknowledge that and mention it for the record, and that we don't need to approve the revised at the meeting. Just simply state the statement that reflected above.
Got it. You want to go through quarter 3 and 4?
Yes, I'm pulling it right now. Quarter 3, we have an ending balance of 66,000 $39.58. And for quarter 4, we have an ending balance of $67,402.72. So very little change between the two. The only change is basically is the expense that we pay our minute taker, minute services.
Got it.
So that
I'm sorry, and the quarter 3 report was in fact just the minute takers. Is that correct? For $1,510.
it's it was our translators that we used
Oh, the translators. I'm sorry. Yes, the
at our
translation.
May meeting at the library. Yeah.
Yes,
And
the
then
translation.
there's also they cashed our $50 check for the ANC security fund as well. That was written back in May.
Got it.
And then for quarter 4,
yes,
there was a PNC bank charge, service charge of $33 for account maintenance. And then 2 invoices were paid to Minute Services. And yeah, and then we also got a disbursement from the DC government of $2,271.14. And that was basically our allotment from to run our affairs.
terrific. Would you like to move that we accept these?
Yes, I move that we accept the quarter fiscal year 2024, quarter 3 and quarter 4 reports.
Seconded by Commissioner Strauss. All those in favor? So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. And we can get those filed with Don. Will you be sending out information for signatures?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll do that over the course of the meeting. I'll send you an e-sign, an invitation to e-sign these documents.
Terrific. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Were you able to prepare the budget for FY24?
Yeah, the only not almost the only thing I'm waiting on is we're expecting a grant request from a parent teacher organization, Thompson. What I know what our expenses are going to be for the course of the year. That's the only one I'm not sure about yet. So once I get the formal request, we can I'll submit one for our next meeting.
Okay, could we, do you have a preliminary budget that we can approve tonight? Because we will not be able to write checks or any expenses until that budget is filed with the ANC.
Okay, let's hold off on until the end of the meeting. I will pull it up and then share with you before the end of the meeting, and then we can go over it tonight.
Got it. That would be great. Thank you so much for that. We'll move forward with our community announcements. We will first start with MPD 2. And do we have someone from MPD 2 on? Do we have Lieutenant Garvin? Okay. Doesn't look like we have anybody from MPD 2 on that I can see. So we will move forward with the agenda. Is anybody from MPD 1 on this evening?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Captain Herbernack here. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can, Captain Herbernack.
Hey, good evening, everybody. A couple things to note this month, not much. in the way of news. We had 0 violent crimes to report on the first district side over the last month, so I'm very proud to say that. That's a good turning point for us, considering how busy the summer has been for everybody, but continuing our downward trend in violent crime on the ANC side of 1D. So we're excited to announce that. We did see an increase in motor vehicle theft and theft from auto. And that has a lot to do with some of the bigger events that are going on around Capital One Arena. We've been instituting a lot more patrols during those larger events and doing a lot of action plans to make sure that we have officers in the area. So you'll be seeing those, especially as the season continues and we get more and more of the games and concerts together at Capital One Arena, both hockey, basketball, and some of the other larger events. So you'll see a presence there. The Chinatown hub continues to be very active. We have 2 officers permanently assigned there to stop in and say hello to them. Their job is mostly liaising with the local businesses. They do some active patrolling, but most of their time is spent doing business checks, checking in with the local businesses, making sure they have everything they need. So feel free to go in there when you have a chance. And other than that, we're going to continue kind of our same posture into the fall. As the weather still stays warm with the majority of our foot beats and bike beats that you've seen out there in the Chinatown area. And as the weather changes, we'll kind of modify those. Some may end up being more bike beats and car beats, but we'll continue to be in the area. And of course, I'm available for any questions anybody might have.
Perfect. Thank you for your continued service and your officers. I continue to see great improvement in the downtown area. So thank you very much
Excuse
for
me.
that service. I did want to bring up a concern that we had received from some community members regarding noise complaints after 10 p.m. I know that there were some discussions with some of the officers, and they didn't seem to know about the noise restriction after 10 p.m.
Yeah, so Lieutenant Alali was on the email from one of the residents, and I appreciate that bringing that to us and bringing that to our attention. The commander and I both made sure that Lieutenant Alali and some of the other managers in the PSA that in the Chinatown area specifically have talked to the officers, reminded them about the statute, the noise at night statute, and we'll continue to work with them. It's a difficult situation, I know, especially before the 10 o'clock hour, which is still late for some people, the noise at night is going on. So we'll continue to work with that and definitely keep us updated. We're re-educating our officers, working with them, and definitely amplified music after the 10 o'clock hour around residences is an issue, and we'll definitely address that. And we also spread that information over to Metro Transit, because my understanding is a lot of times they're performing like right kind of in the Metro entrance, just so that they can be aware of it as well. So I sent that over to one of the Metro Transit folks as well. So hopefully we can address that on both fronts. And then we're also going to work with some of the private security, building security as well, so that we can make sure that anything that's on private property is addressed as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Dr. Sorry, it's been a long day for Captain Herbeck.
Nope.
Do community members have any
Michael, there's a gentleman, Demetrius Athens, wants to make a comment. He's one of my neighbors. I think he's on right now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I live at 801 Pennsylvania Avenue, Market Square West, and I'm on the 12th floor at the corner of Pennsylvania and 9th. And every Friday, but mostly Saturday nights, and I'm talking about, I have videos because I couldn't sleep. At 5:30 a.m., you could look at the tag. I can send it to anybody that wants it. Racing cars and motorcycles without mufflers, racing down 9th Street. I mean, unbelievably loud. Wake you out of a dead sleep, and I'm a deep sleeper. Over and over and over again. it's two issues. Number one is keeping me up. Number two, these people are flying. They're dangerously going fast. It's you just have to sit out there for less than an hour and they'll come by 4 or 5 times a night at least. They're doing this. Is there any way the police force can stop this?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I can do. That's on the second district side.
Yeah.
But what I can do is I'm happy to, I'll let the captain and lieutenant over there, we communicate all the time, obviously, because crime and issues like this don't have borders. So I'll definitely communicate with them. And we both districts have traffic cars. So one of the new initiatives is we're making sure we have traffic cars.
Does anybody want these 2 videos that I took? One of a motorcycle and they're racing each other, or they're just stopped at the light and then they just gun it and they go flying down 9th Street under the mall. And I've got 2 of them at 5:30 a.m.
Sure,
Happened many times before.
Sure, you can send that to me, and I'll make sure we review it and
Perfect. What's your email?
You can send it to one of the commissioners, either Commissioner Schenkel, and they'll forward it to me, and I'll make sure that gets in the right hands.
What about Thomas? Can I send it to you?
Yep.
And you send it?
Go. You can send it to Tom.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Best to send me a link. Send a link to the file as opposed to the file itself. Otherwise, you'll blow up my email.
Oh, it's only like a few seconds. All right.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about it because I can't send it now. So you'll have to tell me tomorrow when you're free of this. And I appreciate anybody that can help on this because it is a public danger besides a noise thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Demetrius.
Bye-bye.
Any additional questions for NPT1?
Well, just to agree with what Demetrius said and to
Susan.
address which area it's in, we get the same at the corner of 7th and 8th Street near the Chinatown Arch. We get people, like large groups of people in different types of vehicles doing donuts in the middle of the intersection and having races, whatnot, in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think these same guys are going around because I hear them behind me in the Chinatown area, and then they come around to 9th and go under. It's like a loop they do.
Yes. If let's Susan, is there a question for I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just agreeing with what Demetrius said, and also saying that it's not just in his area; it reaches us as well here.
Okay,
got it.
Yeah, I'll make sure that both the second district and the first district officers that do traffic enforcement in the area, especially in the midnight tour, know that. Absolutely.
I've got one more question before I leave, if you don't mind.
Please.
I would like to know what the situation is with the homeless sleeping, like in front of my apartment, for instance, on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm all into like spending my tax dollars to help homeless. I'm very progressive. I'm not just kick them out and do nothing with them. But is that normal to have on the nation's capital, Main Street, having home? There's one guy that's been there for the 3 years I've been there in plastic, and he bathes in the fountains of the Naval Memorial. I don't know. Who knows about that? Is that legal?
Well, what we can do is, again, if you can forward any information or description of the person to me, a lot of times if there's encampments or individuals that have mental health issues, which might be one of the issues, may not, we have both a co-response team, which responds with our Department of Behavioral Health, and I can forward them the information. And we also have the mayor has a special office on persons without homes that we can engage as well.
Okay.
That they have services
offered. So I'll send a picture of where it is to Thomas with these videos of the noise, and maybe you could look into that as well.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll make sure that also gets into kind of both the social services side the right hands, and then also the officers. We kind of like to tackle it more on the social services side for obvious reasons at first,
Right,
until
right.
it becomes a criminal issue or
Right.
there's a criminal issue involved.
Are you in the police department?
Yes, I'm with the MPD's first district,
And what's your name?
Captain Paul Herbenak.
Captain Paul
Herbenak,
H.
Hrebenak.
N.K.
We do have a hand up, David Ross.
Thank
Hi.
you, Commissioner
David.
Schenkel. Hi, how are you, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to also chime in to Mr. Athens. If I can be included on that email as well, david.ross, ROSS @dc.gov. I can share that both with our homeless outreach team as well as the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, their outreach team, and we can work collectively to reach out to this resident.
I mean, I'm more than happy to help them. You know, I mean, to get someplace other than there. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like I just want to throw him, you know, throw him out and just so he's not in front of me. I mean, these people need help. You know, but okay, it's David.Ross. What?
@dc.gov.
At dc.gov.
Thank you, sir.
David.Ross at dc.gov. Got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll
Thank
copy you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we'd like to thank you, Captain Herbenak. I really appreciate you being here tonight and providing your update. We're going to move forward with hearing from the Office of the Mayor's Liaison. Ty, are you on with us this evening?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Hey,
everyone.
how are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Very good. Good seeing you.
Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all if you don't mind. Just give me one second.
Please.
And I will say, in regards to the individual that may be unhoused, if I can be looped in that communication also, just so that, glad to hear that this is on our radar, so that we can work towards providing resources for the individual.
You want me to send you, put you on the link?
Yes, that would be greatly appreciated if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Give me your thing, your email.
Okay, that's T-A, B as in dog, A-I, period, A, B as in boy, I-L-L-A @dc.gov.
Okay.
All right, wonderful.
Okay. I'm leaving if anybody. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Demetrius.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Bye.
I'll try to get through this as quick as possible to be mindful of everyone's time. So good evening, everyone. My name is Ty Abilla. I'm the Ward 2 manager with the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. I'm here to identify and address constituent concerns for residents that are within Ward 2. So even businesses as well. So on the right-hand side, I have my contact information. So I do please ask that you address all comments or concerns via email, just so that I can keep track for documentation purposes. If you would like to invite the mayor to an upcoming event or occasion, please utilize the link for the scheduling form. And once I wrap up with this overview for the presentation, I'll go ahead and share this PowerPoint with a chairperson so that you all can have access to it as well. And if you haven't done so already, I strongly encourage you all to subscribe to the mayor's newsletter, which goes out every Friday, just so that you all can stay up to date with the latest information and resources that are available. I've heard great things about the hub, so I love to hear that. You can find me at the hub in Chinatown, typically on Thursdays between 2 and 5 p.m. I will be there this week, and it's just a walk-in services for residents, individuals, family members to stop by to bring us to our attention their concerns or issues that they may have. And greatly appreciate the MPD team. They're there every time I am there, and it's just great to have their presence. And I know it's greatly appreciated. So I just want to say thank you. Hopping into 311, if you haven't done so already, please download the 311 app. It's a very helpful platform to identify and address some of the concerns that you may have, such as missed trash pickup, illegal dumping, any sanitation enforcement that needs to be done. 311 app has recently done a rebrand, so it does look a bit different than it did a few weeks ago. So I strongly encourage you all to download the app if you haven't done so already, to go ahead and address any issues that you may have. And below are just some additional kind of areas or fields that you can go ahead and plug in. Some upcoming resources. So MPD, they are recruiting, and not only just within DC, but those that live within at least 300 miles from DC. This is a great opportunity for those who are looking to step into a new career. So if you or someone that you know is interested in a job opportunity, I provided the link below for you to take a look at. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you or someone you know is in need of assistance, I provided the DC Victim Hotline below if you have any questions or concerns or would like to report any incident. And it is also Earthquake Preparedness Month. So I provided resource information in the event of an earthquake. You can follow a step-by-step guide on how to best prepare you and your family in the event that an earthquake takes place. Coming up in just a few days, this Saturday, there will be electronic cycling opportunity to properly recycle your electronics and to conserve natural resources. So if you have any items that you are looking to get rid of, please use this opportunity to meet with us on Saturday, October 12th, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. To properly dispose your electronics. Immunization reminder, the Office of the State Superintendent of Education is reminding families that immunization keeps students, families, and communities healthy, as well as help to stop the spread of disease. For more information for the required forms that are needed, please utilize the link that's provided. And coming up next Tuesday, there will be a disability career fair that's going to take place at MLK. And there's also another disability career event that's taking place at the end of the month. I'll go ahead and drop some information in regards to that as well. Leaf season is quickly approaching. DPW, Department of Public Works, will be conducting leaf collection services beginning on October 28th to residents who receive DPW trash and recycling services. We had a meeting with them today, and they are excited to serve you all in preparation for leaf season. Please be on the lookout for communication that likely will be hitting your mailboxes and doorways within the next week, just so that you all can best prepare for the upcoming leaf season. I do strongly encourage you all to take a look at their website as they have very helpful resources available. And there's also a leaf tracker where you can see if your specific location or area has been picked up or touched yet. Please, again, be mindful to check out all the updates. I strongly encourage you all to, again, follow the information located on their website and to download their app so that you can be best prepared for the upcoming leaf season. Last Monday, Mayor Bowser and also Councilmember Mendelson met in regards to affordable housing, and the Emergency Rental Assistance Program is no longer seen as reliably helping people who are in true need, which are those who are low-income residents facing emergencies. If you were not able to capture the live stream of that presentation from last week, I have provided the slides available below for your access and for your view. And in addition to that, Mayor Bowser has highlighted the investments included in her fiscal year 2025 Fair Shop budget, which highlights economic development, downtown, revitalizing downtown, and also the importance on education and public safety as well. I provided that link below for your view. And we have some upcoming events. Theater Week is still live and well. This past weekend, I had an opportunity to catch a show at Woodley Mammoth, and it was a great presentation, great cast, and a great opportunity to support our local artists in the area. So if you haven't done so already, you still have a little bit of time to catch a show at one of our local theaters. We have an upcoming session 2, which is going to be in person at MLK. The Mayor's Office of LGBTQ Affairs and the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection are putting on their session 2 of their workshop for those that are looking to get the necessary steps to get a basic business license. So if you or someone you know is interested, please feel free to take advantage of this opportunity. A couple of more upcoming events. We have an estate planning workshop, which will take virtually on October 12th at 12 p.m. I'm sorry, October 10th at 12 p.m. And at MLK on October 19th, there will be Kids Eurofest, the opportunity to get together in partnership, with the community and learn about, different crafts and book projects and performances and showcasing the different European countries and activities. Coming up on October 27th, we have the Fall Fun Day, free family events. Please come out and support if you can. And highly anticipated on the 29th will be the high heel race later towards the end of the month. This is kind of a cheat sheet for agencies that I'm typically in communication with on a day-to-day or weekly basis. If you have any questions or concerns that fall under one of these agencies, please utilize the information that's provided. I know this does not outline all of the agencies, so if there is someone or an agency that's missing that you would like contact information for, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we've received our NPD report as a whole, specifically in ANC 2C. There has been a decrease overall crime by 11% around this time last year based on Crime Data DC. And as I mentioned, one of the main focuses for the office is revitalizing downtown. So I provided their full report for your review. And to wrap things off, I know we are kind of in full swing with school season, but if you're looking for continued resources for your child, if you're a caretaker or guardian, please utilize the Back to School Guide that will have resourceful information for you and your family. And last but not least, if you haven't done so already, please follow Ward 2 Mokers on Instagram and on X or Twitter is another way to stay up to date on the latest information available. And that will conclude my report.
Thank you so very much, Ty. I really appreciate you being here and addressing us this evening. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the mayor's office?
Hey, Michael, the only thing I have is there's lots here. Could we send a link to this presentation to everyone on this call and in our distribution list? Because there's a lot of stuff here, and I think a lot of people would like to go through it on their own time.
Absolutely. Chairperson Schenkel, I'll go ahead and email that over to you.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do have a question on the floor from Ron Rubin.
Hi. I'm not sure if since they redistricted, you may not know, but I used to be advisory neighborhood commissioner for 2F5 back when we were in F. And I live in the Alta, which is one of the largest buildings in this area. And while we have the mayor's office on, and before you get into a big presentation on the shelter plans, I just want to say, and I think I speak for the people in my building, but they can speak as well, that we feel like this has been that basically the whole process has gone around us, that we only really became aware of this plan recently. And right now you're in this meeting, you're going to be doing, or you're at least on your agenda is to be doing a big presentation on it. And we feel that this is very inappropriate for you to be doing this via Zoom. There could not possibly be anything more important to the people in my building. And, doing it by Zoom, I think it's just inappropriate. I think, it's important that, that the mayor's office and Councilmember Pinto's office hear and see from all of us in person, because you see the number of people who are on this Zoom call. That's an indication of how much we want to be heard, but we don't want to be swept under the carpet, which is really what happens when you do this via Zoom. I put that both again to the mayor's office, to the commissioners themselves, that we are very upset that you're doing this meeting and having this presentation and this issue done by Zoom. And I for myself, and anyone else can speak if they agree with me, would like to have this rescheduled and redone in an in-person meeting.
Are you referring to the presentation regarding the Green Court shelter?
Yes.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, I'd
we
like to
had
speak
a-
to that.
hang on 1 second, please. We had a scheduling conflict, which required us to change the date of this meeting. We have found that in 2C, that virtual meetings get our most attendance at this. We have publicized several meetings regarding the Green Court shelter or the proposal of that building that has gone out in the community through various avenues, including our listservs. So I thank you for your feedback. We will take that into consideration in the future. But typically, we are one of the most responsive ANCs with doing hybrid meetings and in person. And I just appreciate the feedback.
Well, I mean, be
on
that as it may, whatever your scheduling conflict was that threw this into a Zoom meeting, it should not override the desire of the people in this community to be heard and to be heard in person. And, I can tell you that none of us
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate
were
you.
aware.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Janice, you have your next hand up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Janice Farabee. I'll do other introductions a little bit later. I'm just interested, Ty, about the affordable housing. So all this revitalization of downtown, I know some of the buildings that have just opened, they're not affordable to our teachers, to our maintenance people, to, our folks, firefighters, police officers. That's just something that I would like to put on the table when you talk about affordable, that these residences, as the mayor goes through getting these developers, that more of these apartments need to be affordable to people who work, who are part of the workforce development in this city. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for that feedback. I've taken note of that. If you would like to follow up, I would love to continue the conversation with you. And feel free to send me an email when the time permits, but definitely would love to continue to have that conversation.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Awesome. Thank you all so much. Clay Boggs.
Hi, my name is Yana. I live in the DeSoto, which is on 1300 Massachusetts Avenue. It's going to be basically next door to the proposed homeless shelter. And I just wanted to echo Ron's.
I just want to stop and we'll talk about this during the shelter presentation, which will be coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, I just wanted
Thank
to
you very
echo
much
Ron's comments
for that.
about while the mayor's office was on the line, but if you're not interested in feedback, that's fine.
Well, we can talk about it. Ty will be on. Ty, will you be on?
I will be on until about 7:10. I do have another ANC meeting to hop on, but I will be on as long as I can.
Got it. Terrific. Thank you. I would like to move forward now with Councilmember Pinto's office, please.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you all tonight. My name is Maddie White. I'm Councilmember Pinto's scheduler, and I will jump into my presentation.
Perfect. And did you want me to share for you?
Do you mind, Chair
I
Schenkel?
would be more than happy to.
That would be great. It was really wonderful to see so many of you at Open Street, 7th Street this weekend. Special shout out to the Downtown Bid for allowing us to play a game of basketball with them, and also MPD had the cornhole station out. So that was a really engaging event and great to speak with constituents. Just to get into a little bit of a legislative update, last week, Councilmember Pinto held the first of 3 oversight hearings this fall on the Office of Unified Communications, which is our 911 call center. And today, a hearing on ONES, the Office of Neighborhood and Safety Engagement. The council member and our staff are conducting unannounced visits to OUC, and she visited late last Saturday night to see overnight weekend shift staffing levels, which were not at an acceptable level last Saturday night. So this past roundtable focused on recent operation failures and incidents that occurred over the summer. And the next hearing will focus on performance and transparency metrics, as well as technology and multi-agency coordination. The unannounced visits will also continue throughout the next couple of months. And then since our last meeting that we spoke at, Councilmember Pinto introduced a new bill dealing with OUC, and this bill provides childcare for OUC workers and first responders, which we know.
Maddie, should I be moving forward?
Oh, yes, that would be great.
I'm sorry.
If you could, yes, that's where I'm at. Perfect.
Okay.
But yeah, so the bill provides childcare for OUC workers and first responders. We know that childcare is a challenge in any job, but especially in these roles that require overnight shifts and overtime work. We really believe in this. So we introduced that bill so far. And then moving into our next slide, we have 2 other bills of note that I wanted to share. So when the fiscal year 2025 budget was approved this summer, it included taxing of out-of-state municipal bonds, including any bonds that were purchased in the past. So we heard from a lot of people, mostly seniors, who had purchased these bonds as a part of their retirement plans, with the assumption and promise that these bonds would be exempt from taxes. So Councilmember Pinto, Councilmember Fruman, and Henderson have a new bill that would exclude taxation of out-of-state municipal bonds that were acquired prior to January 1st, 2025. And then the second bill I wanted to share about is a hygiene and laundry access pilot program. This pilot program aims to give better access to shower and laundry facilities for our neighbors that are experiencing homelessness or housing instability. So the bill would provide grants to organizations, so churches or nonprofits, to either manage or purchase shower and laundry facilities that will be on private property and need to include staffing to keep these facilities secure. And that would provide hygiene and laundry supplies like soap, shampoo, detergent, and the pilot would require 1 site in each quadrant, with the requirement that one of those be east of the Anacostia River. And just moving on to the next slide, I know Ty addressed this briefly, but in the council's last legislative meeting on Tuesday, that included a vote on changes to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, also known as ERAP. The mayor and the chairman held a rare joint press conference the day before to really talk about DC's affordable housing system. It's a very complicated issue, but they basically came together and said that affordable housing providers and nonprofit developers are leaving DC or at risk of leaving DC because of the ballooning amount of unpaid rent that is being able to grow, especially with large because of large amounts of ERAP applications that have not been approved yet and then cannot be evicted. So this bill will repeal a provision in its existing law that allows ERAP applicants to self-attest to certain eligibility criteria, and it amends the code to alter how pending ERAP applications impact eviction proceedings. So the amendment or the measure passed with just one amendment from Councilmember Robert White, which did a few things, including it permitted judges to extend stays of eviction in cases where the delay in the ERAP payment might not be the fault of the individual. It could result in an issue with the Department of Human Services or by the housing provider. So that happened on Tuesday. And then the council also voted on an amendment from Councilmember Pinto to our medical cannabis regulations. So she believes that we must do more to protect our young people specifically. So this amendment strengthens child protective packaging laws to ensure that cannabis packaging is not designed in a way that it makes it look like food that might be appealing to a children. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the packaging, but it looks almost like a bag of candy. So that includes those provisions, and it also protects the concerns of daycare centers by providing daycare centers within 400 feet of a cannabis retailer's location or the proposed location the opportunity to participate in that APCA protest process. So I know 2C went through a lot with the retailer location right near basis. So we didn't want to give up on this and this potentially happening in other communities. So are really continuing to work to get that balance right between legal medical cannabis businesses, but also protecting our kids and our families. So that's why we moved this amendment and worked on this. And also an update that ABCA has successfully closed down 5 illegal cannabis businesses in the last few weeks. That's what we got from them. So working on that as well. But that's a lot. There's truly a flurry of legislation moving through the council right now. So I always encourage you to follow us on social media and read our newsletters to keep up to date. But you can also get in touch with me at any time. But the last update I'll share is that the council is having a hearing on October 23rd about DCPS funding and really the instability that the current budget process has brought for schools, especially in regards to staffing levels. So it would be important for Ward 2 schools to speak about this. So if there's any Thompson parents or PTO members to consider attending this hearing, I'll be sure to share all those details with you all in case that's of interest. Okay, that's all from me, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Maddie?
Yes, I do. And this is about the shelter. I would just like it's on Pinto's radar? She knows about it.
Yes.
Yes. And I would request a meeting with her to talk about this with some sort of a core group of concerned constituents, people who are the head of the board of their condo buildings. And I just want to make sure that that can be scheduled. It will be a high priority so that we can have a direct conversation with her.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. I will be in touch with the commissioners and some other stakeholders about that.
Okay. Is there another person that I should email about this in her staff, her
Our
chief of staff or her scheduler?
Our legislative director, Lynn Groft, will be point on this
Lynn
particular
Groft,
issue,
okay.
but I am the council member scheduler, so the right person to contact.
It is you. Okay.
I'll drop my email in the chat as well as a few other links for you all.
Thank you.
Do community members have any questions for the council member's office? Okay. Thank you so much, Maddie, for being here. We appreciate it. And it was great seeing you on Saturday as well.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to note
first
really
time I met Maddie in person.
Yes, it was the first time in person. I also just wanted to note that I am covering another ANC meeting this evening, so I'm going to do my best to stay on and listen as much as possible. But if any minutes could be shared, that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. Next, we will move forward with hearing from the downtown DC bid and Lucas Yamana.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Lucas, how are you?
Good, good. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Please.
Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoy these meetings a lot. I think it's a great opportunity to hear some of the concerns and some of the insight that's going on into the bid. And I appreciate the relationship I've been building, not only with the commissioners, but our partners, but also the stakeholders. And I'm really excited about continuing to build on the great work we've done this year. And I just want to say a special thanks to our partners. We couldn't have the bid and all of downtown could not have done a lot of the work we've done and a lot of the strides we've made this year without all the incredible support and team effort. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. And that includes the stakeholders, the commissioners, MPD, all the mayor's offices. So thank you so much to everyone. I just want to give a couple of the stats from September. Trash collected, we collected over 17,500 bags, almost 105,000 pounds of waste. We removed over 502 stickers. This is all throughout the entire bid, not just the Chinatown Penn Quarter corridor. Our safety team, which only operates right now in Chinatown, Penn Quarter, completed over 960 hours. This past month, our team completed 719 safety routes in about 5,300 checkpoints. Checkpoints are essentially digital areas that are marked and that are captured by our technology app that is used. One of the main focuses of the safety team is really around building relationships and partnerships, and those are done through our business wellness checks. In September, we performed over 307 business wellness checks. These are very important to really getting an understanding of some of the concerns that our stakeholders have and being able to figure out solutions for them. I like to share this information because I think it's a really good, it gives a good picture into some of the work that the bid does. And the reason I put a lot of the clean work in here is because clean and safe go hand in hand, and you can't have one without the other. So I really like to highlight a lot of the work of our team that is put in on a daily basis to really create in a very inviting environment for not only our stakeholders, our visitors, so for anyone that comes to work, live, or play in downtown DC. And we'll continue to put a lot of effort into that. I know I've spoken to many of the participants in this meeting and some of the stakeholders. If you have any concerns or need any support, please reach out to me directly. I'm very responsive, and I feel like our bid it does a great job of providing resources and solving solutions, to bridge the gap between some of the work that the government is doing and just really to be a partner. Some of the daily functions, I like to share this information just so you know that what we're doing out there. We water plants, hanging flower baskets. We beautify the area, right? We're trying to create experiences that allow our visitors and our residents to really create an inviting place, and we do that through activating some of our public places. We've been doing a lot in public art. Leaf collection is coming up, and our teams will be spending a lot of time really making sure that we provide a safe environment for our stakeholders. Our safety team updates really, the point of this team is really to observe and report and to build strong community relationships. We just will continue to do that this upcoming year. You'll see our teams out there on a nightly basis, 8 hours a day, Sunday through Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then Thursday through Sunday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's a pilot program in Chinatown corridor. As we continue to prove its success, hopefully we're able to expand that through other parts of the bid. Technology is a very big part of this team in really observing and reporting a lot of the things that they're seeing on a daily basis. And that's how some of the data that I present on a regular basis is really captured through that technology app. If some of you have been up and down 8th Street between E and F, we already started the art installation that the bid is doing with the National Portrait Gallery to honor Felix Gonzalez Torres. There's a light install that's happening on the east and west side of 8th Street, and we've partnered up with a couple of our building owners there to really be able to create an inviting art installation, and that will be there through July 20th of 2025. We hope you come out there. It's a beautiful installation that's happening in 3 parts. It's happening in the National Portrait Gallery, MLK Library, and then in the public space on F Street, on 8th Street between E and F. And we'd love to be able to get support on this project, so we're able to extend it beyond the 6 months that any installation is able to happen in DDOT. If we're able to get a letter of support from the ANC, we're able to extend it through the July 20th of 2025 timeframe that we have in here.
Sorry, I was talking. I had that letter ready to go for you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, that's some of the work that we're doing at this point, and I'd love to hear from anyone if they have any questions or any areas of concern that we're able to provide support. That's what we're here for.
Terrific. Thank you and your team for being out there, and I think that is very much contributing to the change that we're seeing in Chinatown and the reduction of trash. I'm always amazed with how much trash is reported that's removed from the area. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Absolutely. I appreciate, I think this is a huge team effort, to really be able to continue to make some of the strides we've made. I know that, residents and business owners and workers, see things on a daily basis. It'll never be perfect, but what I can guarantee you is that we will continue to put a lot of support and effort into really creating memorable experiences for everyone that visits or works or lives in the bid. And I take that very seriously. I live in Washington, D.C., and we all know what really impacts the entire city is the incredible work that is being done in downtown DC and how important downtown DC is to the rest of DC.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Lucas? Any community members' questions for the bid? Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Lucas. I appreciate you being here.
No problem. Just one quick update. I know that some residents have, are voicing concerns around mopeds in the parking up and down 7th Street. I know that's a major issue. I know MPD and DPW have done an incredible job of really enforcing some of the work around the mopeds. I also know that we will be installing bike racks on the corrals on the west side of 7th Street, which is an area that many of the mopeds are hanging out in. We'll be installing those bike racks with DDOT, or DDOT will be installing them for in the next few weeks. And I think that will minimize a lot of those parking issues around the mopeds. So just wanted to bring that bring that up so everyone had an understanding of some of the work that is being done to really minimize the moped challenges.
Got it. And I'm sorry, but you're not, is there, I know that they have been parking in the bump outs.
Yeah.
That have been along 7th Street. Is that where you're considering putting the
Yes, that's where a lot of the bike racks will go. Those corrals, essentially, they're painted. The original use of those areas were really for bike racks, and that's what they were installed there for. But it never happened. So that's where they will be installed to. And this will also help with the e-bike and scooter issues because we're now gonna drive all the e-bikes and scooter issues to park in those areas instead of on the sidewalks.
Correct. I actually thought that those areas, those pop-outs, were actually a safety feature that DDOT put in so that you can visibly see pedestrians before they actually get in front of a vehicle. As someone crosses this road. And I'm just questioning if putting bike racks in those bump outs defeats the purpose of them in that situation.
So the bike, there's those bump outs near the crosswalks will not have the bike racks, right? So people usually cross in the crosswalk, so there's that area. But those corrals are big enough where we'll have some bike racks, there's some racks in there, but it's not going to overtake. You will be able to stand in there to cross the street still.
In the bump out.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. I think I'm following you on that. So, all right.
All right.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem. And if here's my contact information is that if anyone needs any support, please email me or send me a text.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Lucas. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate these meetings and thank you for allowing me to join and speak.
Terrific. Thank you. We will now move forward with the Green Court shelter update. And David Ross, the Chief of Staff from the DC Department of Human Services, will be providing that presentation today for us. We are going to let David do his presentation. If you have questions, you may raise your hand in the participation bar so that we can call on people in the order that this occurs. Secondly, I believe that this is the third engagement that we have had regarding the shelter at an ANC meeting at this point. So, Mr. Ross, would you like to proceed?
Thank you, Commissioner Schenkel. And actually, I am here in an official capacity to support the administrator of the Family Services Administration, Miss A.D. Rachel Pierre, who wanted to be here herself to share this update. I want to send a personal thank you to you, Commissioner, for your ongoing partnership, Commissioner Strauss, who I believe is on the call, who we've had a chance to engage about about this facility, as well as Ms. Groth. And so we're very happy to now to be in front of the constituents, residents at large, to share these updates. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen and I will project for Ms. Pierre, who will actually be giving our presentation. Ms. Pierre.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity to really come here and speak about the plan for the building that we call Green Court. I think David is trying to share his screen, so I'll just wait a few minutes. And then I'm happy to kind of get started, but I'll just share a little bit about me as we're waiting. So my name is Rachel Pierre. As mentioned, I am the administrator for the Family Services Administration at the Department of Human Services. What this means, specifically, I report to our director, and my portfolio includes all of homeless services for the district that DHS manages, from street homelessness to the end of the spectrum of housing and permanent housing. So shelter operations and monitoring is also under my portfolio, and partnership, of course, with some of our community providers. So very happy to be here again. David, next slide. So a little bit about what we're going to have an opportunity to talk about today. We'll talk a little bit about the project, the timing for the project, a little bit about our program, what we consider low barrier shelter. Really, we're excited about the opportunity to actually build a shelter for the from the ground up, which is the plan for this shelter. So we'll talk a little bit about our projected timeline and so forth, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. And at the end of the presentation, David will talk about ongoing community engagement as we're going moving forward with this project. Next slide, David. So a little bit about the Department of Human Services, for those of you who do not know what we do. So ultimately, DHS is dedicated to supporting district residents through a range of services, promoting stability, economic mobility, and well-being. We support residents by providing housing, safe housing, shelter, food assistance, social services. We work alongside of individuals with lived experience, community leaders, and a lot of the work that we do is through our service providers, also known as community-based organization. Really, the Bowser administration has been really committed to ending homelessness by really assuring that we have the interventions in place that allows for homelessness to be rare, brief, and non-recurring. Also, Department of Human Services administers public benefits, so we also provide financial assistance to district residents in need through programs like TANF, SNAP, and Medicaid for low-income residents. The work that we do is really to focus on long-term solutions. So we work on workforce development, education, and ultimately our goal is to help move the residents and their families towards self-sufficiency. Thank you, David. So a little bit of background about this project. So the district purchased the property for the purpose of meeting the needs of residents experiencing homelessness. So that was always part of being part of the homelessness continuum. The intentions of purchasing this property was always so that it could be part of the homelessness continuum. The purchase, again, supports the mayor's vision and commitment to her goals in homelessness. So we work with our partner agencies, the Department of General Services, also known as DGS, and us and the DHS. We ultimately approved the start of the design and program requirements to make Green Court a really exceptional men's shelter. And why I said that we are very excited that this is an opportunity for the ground up. The Bowser administration has really been focused on not just acquiring buildings and retrofitting them in to shelters, but really we have an opportunity to build shelters from the ground up so that from the very beginning, it's really designed for the purposes of providing quality services for residents experiencing homelessness. So we're really excited that this is a direction that this program will take. We begin our process with, sorry, David, if you go back one more time. We really start the process of even just the design and community engagement to, we outreach to stakeholders like the ANC. This is part of the conversation that we're having now. We've outreach to council members' offices. So we have discussed our plan with Councilmember Pinto's office. And obviously this is just one of the ongoing community engagement forum that we'll have for this project, and we'll continue to there could be an opportunity to form an advisory group, but we'll continue to come to all of the ANC meetings and share updates as needed, especially as we get closer to project opening. Next, David. So this, I just wanted to give an example of what we mean when we say when we build a shelter from the ground up. So the before and after, this is ultimately one of the newest shelters on the campus of St. Elizabeth in Ward 8. So the picture on the left is what I think used to be an old, I think, David, I don't know if it was a hospital, I can't remember, but ultimately it was another building that we've acquired, and then we just had previously just turned into a shelter. And the after, it's a new design, brand new building. This particular building actually has 3 different towers. We have a low barrier shelter, we have a day center, we have work beds, we have a clinic inside of the shelter. We have also opportunities to provide a more accessible shelter for seniors or others who may need have some mobility issues and who may need some more assistance while they are waiting for permanent housing. So all this to say that while we don't have the design yet for what Green Court it will be, the intent and will be that we will build a shelter from the ground up with the design components to really make sure that it meets the needs of our residents. So a little bit about what low barrier, when we say this will be a low barrier shelter, this a little bit about what low barrier shelter means in our space. So the homeless services is ultimately governed by statute. We have the Homeless Services Reform Act that has a specific definition for low barrier shelter. And low barrier shelters are provided by DHS. It ultimately provides immediate access to shelter for adults experiencing homelessness. So what this means is that it's really shelter without precondition, meaning that you can say that your name is John Doe. If we have a bed, then we'll give it to you. We do offer case management services, but it's not a requirement for shelter in a low barrier shelter. So it's anyone who needs a safe space from the elements, who want to come in, who are experiencing a housing crisis, whether it's for a day or 2 days or a month or a year. We'll as long as we have capacity, we will take this person in. I think I mentioned again, open access, no precondition to shelter, basic services, really a safe place for somebody to sleep, meals, bathroom, and of course, connection to case management, because of the services that we really focus in low barrier shelter and all shelters are housing focused case management. So from day one, when someone comes in, we really try to work on a plan to make sure that their experience of homelessness is rare, so then they can move on and not spend too much time with that experience. Our operations are year-round, and our shelters are open 24/7. So the Department of Human Services usually will partner with a nonprofit through the community partnership, identify a nonprofit who will be providing the shelter management and services in a shelter. So we do this work in partnership with community-based organizations. Next, David, please. So I think I've already spoke that our shelters are open 24/7. Before COVID, we used to close shelters during the day, and then, individuals would have to leave, either go downtown or a day services center and then line up in the evening. We have a new model since this is something that we've adopted since COVID, and we continue to manage it post-COVID, that our shelters stay open 24/7. We do have a process to identify bed count, to make sure that there are rules and regulations that are within our program rules that residents have to abide by in order to be able to maintain a bed. So again, our focus, this is going to be for an adult single shelter. So that means any person over the age of 18 who are not accompanied by a minor child, a child under the age of 18 will be able to come into the shelter. Next slide. So this is a little bit about the project timeline. We can just spend some time and just review it without me necessarily having to speak to it. But we're at this time, the project is not, the shelter is not scheduled to open before spring of 2028. Next slide, David. So I'll speak, I'll turn it over to David at this time, who can talk about the plan for ongoing community engagement and really lay out opportunities for us to kind of be in partnership on how that community engagement looks like. So David?
Thank you, Rachel. As Commissioner Shanklin mentioned, we are definitely no strangers to this ANC meeting, and our commitment is to continue to visit whenever you all would like us to come out, so that we are entering into your community in as least disruptive process as possible. And so, as the commissioner shared, we have shared updates. We are here today. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of detail to share because, again, as Administrator Pierre shared, the facility is not scheduled to go live for several more fiscal years, and we are currently, the solicitation for design has been released. So the final design aspect has not been selected. However, as part of the commitment to working with the community, we have met with an architectural firm who has potentially proposed or offered pro bono work for the shared public space, the alleyway. And so we are definitely eager to continue those discussions and to bring whatever opportunities may exist to this group so that the community can decide. Again, we are committed to coming back to any and all ANC meetings that we are invited to. We have connected with Mayor Bowser's Office of Residential Conversions. We've met with the team, our partners over at AOBA, Apartment and Office Building Association. We've connected with the Downtown Bid and definitely want to connect with their partners and are willing to meet with any group really who has concerns about this facility coming, because our concern and priority is that we want to come in here as a good neighbor. We want to apply lessons we have learned. We're not perfect. Life will present itself in a way that we will have to pivot and take an opportunity to learn from lessons, but we will continue to do so. And we will continue to come and hear from all residents within the community who have a vested interest in saying that we enter and remain, as Administrator Pierre said, good partners and good neighbors. So that concludes our presentation. I will unshare myself, Commissioner, and then we can pivot to Q&A. So,
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentations. Commissioners, do you have questions first?
I realize this is very early. We, just got notice of this. 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. And it looks like if everything goes according to your plan, the earliest this would open is spring 2028. So more than 3 years. Okay. What do you guys think community engagement looks like? Like, is it you come to ANC meetings and tell us this is our plan? Are you inviting us in to help make decisions with you? What does that look like?
Would you like me to speak, or you can take it?
Do you want to pivot to me? Do you want to take it?
No, you can take it. I'll just speak more from the program side, but you can talk about the overall.
So, Commissioner Strauss, our intent is to come to the community to share that in 3 years, a facility within this ANC will appear that will house the unhoused as we support them in their plan towards permanency. And to the extent possible, safe program rules, which have to be more or less operated in alignment with the HSRA. This is an opportunity for us to hear, what are your challenges? Are you worried about what are your challenges? What are your concerns? And sometimes there isn't this 3-year window to be able to work. And in this instance, we have a 3-year window to really get it right. And so that's what we're here to do. We don't have every answer to every question you're going to have because, again, we don't even know what the design of the facility is going to look like. But we are here to share that in 3 years, a facility hopefully will open. And as good neighbors, we want to hear what your concerns are moving forward. So within that 3-year plan, not tonight, we can have a plan that we all at least understand that we are intentional about being there in a way that supports everyone involved.
And you said that the plan is to do this from the bottom up. Do you mean are you guys planning on tearing down that building and starting over? You're taking that building and redesigning the inside of it.
It's a new build, and that can look like many things. And so the solicitation is out, and we will see what we get once the final design is selected. But the goal is to create a new, to the extent possible, have a facility that supports our needs and address any issues that are existing in place.
What's your target size then? You have to provide that for the designer, right?
I think they're designing based on square feet. Rachel, do we have a square foot? I'm sorry.
So yeah, I can speak to that. I don't have the square footage, but we don't have an exact number yet. I mean, we've really been working on trying to get smaller shelters, but part of it is going to be informed by the design, right? So we're still probably getting community input. What we've shared in the slide from the previous from the slide, what we went in the new shelter on the St. Elizabeth campus, we will have, depending on if we have more work beds versus just low barrier beds, we have kind of better square footage per bed per person, whether or not we're going to have a day services center, whether or not we're going to have also like a medical clinic. So there.
I see.
So yeah, so until we kind of get to that point, I don't want to give a number, and then if the number is
okay,
not
I understand. So then what the city purchased from Balance Gym is basically the footprint of that building. And so
Yes.
you could conceivably tear it down and build something much taller.
That's correct. I'm not saying that's in the plan.
Got
We don't
it.
have plans, but we could do that. Yes, exactly.
When will you know the sort of capacity size of this future building?
Yeah, I mean,
I was under the
David,
impression you were going to take the existing building and that's kind of like the limit of what you're building, but you're saying you might build something much larger than that.
Well,
Yeah.
if I can clarify really quick, Rachel, one, I think the Office of Residential Conversions, there are requirements and limitations. So when you say so much up higher, I don't want people to panic and think we're going to add 20 more floors to an existing building, right? I mean, we have to comply with the law, but as Rachel said, we won't know capacity specifically until the final design is selected, and then the team can work back and begin to think about capacity.
So it might, I think right now the building is 4 or 5 stories. It could conceivably be 10.
It could conceivably be 10. It could conceivably remain 4. We'll know once the design is finalized, and we will come back and share that with this group once that is.
Can you remind me when that will be done, the design?
I think the solicitation period is July through December, so that includes releasing, giving opportunity for organizations to respond and reply. And then let me just pull up that.
From the
So the
time
RFP will be public in July. Is that right?
well, this is a little bit. Well, we're past July 2024, so this is a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
I was thinking next July. You're saying, okay. When's the RFP going to be released?
So the solicitation period is July, and we will share the slide. We'll share the deck with Commissioner Schenkel. So the solicitation period, excuse me, is July of this year through December of this year. Approximately, and then the design phase is about 8 months after that period.
Okay. At what point will the public be able to see?
To see what? The final?
Well, so the solicitation period isn't necessarily public, right? But when will we be able to see the first shot at designs?
The solicitation is public.
Well, the solicitation process is public, but I think what Commissioner Strauss is referring to is the awarding process. So as soon as we have a final design, of course, we will come back and share that with this committee, because then part of the work, Commissioner, is the architectural firm you connected me with that's proposing pro bono work. The next step is to work with them to see what might happen.
Okay. So really in the spring, maybe we'll have a better idea. Okay, open it up to
I just
others.
wanted to also ask a couple questions. Why this area being picked for a low barrier shelter and not a building that is more transitional in nature, more permanency with with the users of the facility, since you have residences right around this building. You have a school not far from there, as well. This is in an alleyway. Why low barrier?
So I can speak to a few
ahead, Rachel. I
things.
apologize.
Yeah, no. So while I think as the gentleman, they mentioned that there's a, person experiencing street homelessness in front of his building. We do know that there's a high concentration of people experiencing street homelessness in the downtown area. And oftentimes it's because they want to stay downtown. So that's why we also have a day services center downtown, but it's just open during the day. We want to be able to provide some shelter where oftentimes our residents prefer to stay. So this is an alternative to the gentleman staying in Pennsylvania Avenue, because we don't have necessarily like low barrier shelters downtown. Now, if he wants to stay downtown, we can actually say you have somewhere to go and you have somewhere to go and seek shelter. We can't just move people out of the street and not necessarily, unless we can provide shelter options in the areas in the city that they would prefer to stay. And we do know that we have a lot of concentration of street homelessness, unsheltered homelessness downtown.
I can just speak to what happened at the former Pat Handy shelter, when it was transitioned away from women and men moved into that shelter. It became a crapshoot in that neighborhood, and we begged and pleaded and raised all kinds of issues about it, and there was nothing that could be done. And that was low barrier, and it was out of control. How are you going to ensure that this facility is not going to be low barrier? And also, just to note that this property was not always intended to be a shelter, because at meetings that we were at previously, it was indicated that this could be a senior center. It could be an LGBT center. It could be other things. So it was never articulated that this was definitely going to be a shelter. Is that something that you know that was not told to the public that we need to know about?
So what I think I mentioned, and I repeat again, that it was always supposed to be part of our homeless services continuum. So whether it's an LGBTQ shelter, that would still be homelessness continuum. If it's a shelter for seniors, that's still part of our homelessness
But
continuum.
senior center is not a homeless shelter for seniors, is it?
I'm not sure about a senior center, but what I'm saying that was my understanding. Again, I wasn't part of the initial.
Well, I heard you say that it was the intention that it was going to always be a shelter in this building, and that's not what the community was led to believe at previous meetings.
I said part of the homelessness continuum. So the homelessness continuum has more than just
Can you
low
tell
barrier
us what that
shelters.
means? What the
Sure. A homelessness continuum could be a day center. It could be like a transitional shelter. It could be an LGBTQ shelter. It could be a low barrier shelter. It could be transitional housing. So it could be permanent supportive housing. So we have many different interventions to help our residents experiencing homelessness. So I think what we're saying this meeting is to share where we've landed in terms of the need of our inventory, but we have more than just one way or one intervention to support residents experiencing homelessness.
Yes, but I don't think that DHS is hearing the community and their feedback in the community regarding a low barrier shelter. And that is my concern and has always been my concern, that community has been coming to these meetings repeatedly talking about these issues. And it's full steam ahead by DHS. And I don't see any of the feedback that has been given thus far regarding this to be incorporated into the presentation today.
So Commissioner Schenkel, if I can, part of the
Besides being here, excuse me, besides being present
yes, sir.
and addressing questions.
Yes, sir. Part of the tight walk we walk is today our plan is to open up this facility, and the point count or our capacity may identify that we need this shelter for men. Just like when COVID happened in 2020, something may happen next year or the year after that necessitates a switch from that we will and must respond to. So while these are the plans today, and I think we've put that in a couple places in the presentations, like they may change moving forward. And I've learned since the Pat Handy days to be very intentional about language, because our continuum includes many of those things. We have shelters specifically for youth. We have shelters that are senior focused. And so when we say continuum, this is a facility, as Ms. Pierre said, that will support our programming that supports the unhoused. And as of today, this is the best plan we can offer. Knowing that it's 3 years in advance, so many things can change, Commissioner Schenkel. Most notably, potentially the gender and capacity, but we know as of today, this facility will support our programming, which is aimed at supporting the unhoused. And I'm not sure 100% how much feedback we can get, or I'm not clear on what we have not been responsive to. I thought what we've put together was pretty responsive to at least what I have heard from folks in the past few weeks. And the reality is, Commissioner, there's no design, there's no building, there's nothing yet to share, right? So this is us saying this will happen in 3 years, learning from lessons learned. I think what we never did for Pat Handy is the community advisory group, which will really is a step away from this meeting because we know it takes up so much time. Following the model for our short-term family housing and with the Aston, we will bring representatives from the ANC, from the community, from Councilmember Pinto's team, and we will literally form a group. And part of that is to create a good neighbor agreement. These are our expectations for DHS. These are the expectations for existing residents. These are expectations for our residents that will be coming into this facility. So unfortunately, we do not have all the details to give you, but we didn't want to wait to that point, Commissioner, to come out and meet with you all.
Yeah, I definitely don't want you to wait, but I'm just concerned that this is a populous area of people who own properties, and the residents who own properties in these areas.
Yes, sir.
And we are sticking a homeless shelter beside these properties. We're just plopping it in here. When we look at the continuum of downtown and what's available downtown for this is where I get a little hung up when we talk about low barrier shelters. I understand the need to have shelters and low barrier shelters, but there needs to be a plan in where you place these based on potential impacts on residents. That's a major issue. That's a major issue here in this situation, because you're right behind a building that houses individuals that have physical challenges that are aging in place in these buildings. And you can see you butt up against the building. This is problematic. And I am still very much triggered by Pat Handy because it did not go well for anybody. And I'm afraid we're going to get into that same situation. This being in an alleyway, it concerns me regarding security. It concerns me regarding accesses to garages entering and exit that alleyway. There's no sidewalks back there for folks to walk on. It's just, I think it is disaster waiting to happen. I'm just going to put that out there. That's my opinion about what this is going to be as we move through this process.
So a couple of quick responses, Commissioner. Part of the design will include where the accessibility to the building is. None of that is finalized, but that is square on our minds and was reiterated in the solicitation, number one. Number two, we're not strangers to facilities being in neighborhoods. I think from the top of my head, 801 East, granted a brand new community, but there is a community popping up on the new 801 East campus, as well as our Emory Men's Shelter on Fort Lincoln Road. It literally sits between McKinley Tech and right next to Emory Rec Center. And one of our newest facilities, the Aston, is square in the middle of right next door to Marriott residences, right? So well, we too, I was triggered, Commissioner, I'm going to be honest with you, right? And I never want to place our agency in that situation again. And so again, this is a hard conversation to have.
Yeah.
This is a hard presentation to make for our team, sir, but we're committed. We're here. We hear you. Ms. Pierre and I are district residents, so please don't think we're, preaching to the crowd as we drive over the bridge, right? Like, we're residents, we get it too, we understand. And our commitment is we're not leaving, we're not going anywhere. We want to come to every meeting that you want us to come to respond to these concerns, sir.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna open it up to community folks, and I'd like folks, since we have a large number of people that want to comment, if you could ask one question or one comment and attempt not to repeat what someone else has already indicated so that we can move the meeting forward. The first person up on my screen is Nancy Roth.
Thank you, Chair Schenkel. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I made notes for myself. If you don't mind indulging me, I think it's about 4 minutes. I'm Nancy Groth. I'm the uncontested candidate on the November ballot to be the 2C02 commissioner for the SMD that includes 1339 Green Court. I also live on the same block, in fact, in the building that abuts two sides of the building, as Commissioner Schenkel just said. The issues about the shelter are why I'm going to be a commissioner, though I had kind of actually hoped to get my website up or something before this broke open. Since David Ross called our incumbent Commissioner Strauss 2 weeks ago, thanks to Commissioner Strauss's building of relationships and contacts that she was able to provide me, I have in the past week met in person with residents of 5 of the 6 residential buildings on our block, which were my immediate priority. If you're here from the Grant at 1312 Mass or the Green Lantern, I'm still available for listening sessions. The other businesses and the nearby hotels are next on my list. By the way, there are at least 321 registered voters on our block, according to the DC Board of Elections, which doesn't count the recent move-ins to my building or the brand new residential conversion at 1313 L Street. I'm happy to hear Mr. Ross say that he's going to make the slide deck available, so thank you for that. As I've been saying, before DHS houses anyone in the structure or on that footprint, DHS should be accountable to show their homework. Site studies that prove it is safe or will be made safe for anyone in any program context to actually live there. The current structure at 1339 Green Court was built in 1929 as an industrial building that housed printing presses for decades before it became the Balance Gym in the 1990s. If any of the structure remains that you build out inside it, and for the site, basic questions must be answered. Is there asbestos or toxic chemicals from printing? Can you get a fire truck to the property? Most obvious safety issue, as Chairman Schenkel said, is pedestrian safety. The building is completely landlocked by alleys with no sidewalks. I have rolled that alley at various times of the day, and the traffic to service entrances and parking garages for all of our buildings is considerable. We need reports from the fire marshal and most of all VDOT about those alleys. I've heard a lot of perspectives already in the last week from my neighbors, and what is most evident is that there will be multifaceted responses from the stakeholders from all those points of view. I'm committed to be a connector and convener as well as a representative. Many of the biggest concerns are about Green Court having a low barrier shelter, as Chairman Schenkel said. Without case management or programs that would ensure that any new neighbors will be stakeholders on the block and committed to being good neighbors. We have very vulnerable populations and demographics of residents living on this block. There are children living in at least 2 of our 6 buildings. In addition, NYU has college students living in its building, and my own building at 1330 Mass has 154 frail and vulnerable seniors and disabled residents. Every one of us. Most of us were living here during the encampment from August 21 to May 22 that was dominated by a violent criminal enterprise based on the overpass of Mass Ave and the service lot of my own building. The city was spectacularly unhelpful, and how it was cleared was because a murder was committed. Nobody needed to die. Several neighbors over the listening sessions I've done over the last week have raised the question, in a low barrier shelter without IDs or case management, will there be sex offenders? Thompson Elementary is only 1 kitty corner block away from our block. How much can we as citizens and neighbors affect the design, the scope, the density, the program, the operator choice, and ongoing accountability measures of this shelter? Will it be open 24/7? And will residents not be required to leave in the morning? Will there be loitering of residents trying to get a bed? Or will that be managed inside the structure? Will there be lockers for the residents' most vital possessions like ID documents? Will there be specialty beds like night workers, even in a congregate setting? Whatever density is the eventual capacity, what will happen with overflow? For a city trying to revitalize downtown, this exact block is on trend. And there are other conversions happening right here in 2CO2. Our hotels are full again as tourism has rebounded, and many of the closest hotels to 1339 Green Court are family-priced tourist hotels. So please, all of you from DHS, please tell the mayor that we even have a thriving souvenir store on our block right next to the alley to Green Court. And in the springtime season that I like to call the invasion of the 8th graders, busloads and busloads of them come with their harried chaperones and teachers. And the 8th graders of the country will see what happens on our block and go home and tell their parents all over the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Excuse me. Next up, I know Nancy outlined a number of questions there. I think that we should send those responses off to DHS so that they have those questions for you.
I'm happy to forward the text.
And can I just say quickly, Commissioner, a lot of Ms. Groth's questions we can't answer at this time, again, because the design isn't finished. But overflow, just like with our existing low barrier shelters, we have the district shelter hotline that if this facility, whatever its final program choice was, were to meet capacity, we would facilitate getting unhoused residents to another location, regardless of which gender and program is finalized. Our goal is to always try to have a mixed use. I think Ms. Groth mentioned work beds or specialty beds. And then finally, whether there are lockers or whatever the shape is, we will have locked space for residents to store personal items. Those responses I can give now, sir.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Janice. Hi, Janice.
Hi, good evening again, everyone. My name is Janice Farabee, former ANC 2F08. past Ward 2 committee woman for the DC Democratic State Committee, president of my Tenants Association here at the Cambridge 13th and Mass, former lead hospitality ambassador for the DC Bids Weekend Homeless Services, and as of October 1st, I celebrated 34 years in recovery, experiencing homelessness very briefly, thank you, in New York City, former Oxford House resident, and I'm also working with the my home church, Metropolitan AME, at 1518 M Street to help shape what we hope to be a model restorative residence for veterans experiencing homelessness. I'm here, like many others, and I agree with what Nancy Groth just said. I'm here because I'm outraged, and Wayne Turnage has heard from me, and I'm extremely concerned about the fact that you all are here after the fact. You all have decided all of these things without any communication about what is good for this community, and Commissioner Schenkel mentioned all of that. You're here telling us that all these things, you know, you want to be good neighbors and whatnot. As far as I'm concerned, you're going to have to show me something else, because you all have made the decision without us being involved, and concerned about lack of transparency, again, from the DC government, no community outreach until now. And if what is currently being offered to homeless individuals is what you're planning for our community, dirty, unsafe, violent, uncaring, incompetent staff, and a dumping ground, I don't want that in this community. If, on the other hand, you have plans to create a place of dignity for residents and staff, safety for community, businesses, and residents, meaning competent and well-paid staff members, including maintenance, including your case managers, including security, and developing a culture of humanity and restoration, which is not what's going on in these other shelters, then maybe. But the fact that all of the things that were just listed, the schools, all of the businesses, I don't know who did why they chose this spot, but if you cannot guarantee those things, the loitering, the fact that I live here at 13th and Mass, our garage was broken into 3 times when the encampment was here. We must be a place of dignity and to restore these individuals if we care about them. And as far as I'm concerned, the mayor and DHS, we are showing that we don't care about these individuals. And I happen to have been one. But if we care about individuals, then restorative places of safety need to be put in place. But you don't come to a neighborhood after you've said, well, we're going to just do this, and we're going to try to come in and say, you know, we're going to come to all the ANC meetings and this and that. That is not good business as far as I'm concerned. And I've already expressed interest in being a part of the advisory committee, because I know what isn't working and I know what can work. But I also have to just state that this is not the place for this restorative low barrier shelter. Thank you.
So just a brief response, Commissioner Schenkel. So I just want to clarify, no decisions have been made. The only thing that has been finalized is the purchase of the building. Again, we are in the solicitation process. And so again, this Commissioner Schenkel, going back to that tight walk we walk. Even what we share tonight may change once we the solicitation, the responses to solicitations are received and a final design is selected. That's when we really get into really honing in on what this facility will be like. So I just want to make sure that I clarify that nothing has been finalized except for the purchase of the building. And when you all receive the final deck, as we prepare to enter design phases, we will always come back to this team to keep folks abreast. And so the only 2 things that have occurred: 1, the building has been purchased, and 2, the design solicitation has been released. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. We have Tom Grurola.
Yeah, Tom Girola, like guitar.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm a commercial real estate broker and a site selection expert. And I deal with a lot of businesses and investors that come to me much like David Ross is coming right now saying, hey, I have a property and I'm going to build a widget factory here. My first question is, well, why do you think this is the best location for a widget factory? You just inherited this property, you just acquired it because your chief operating officer or CFO had some extra cash end of year and wanted to make an acquisition. I feel like you've already done the site selection. So the concerns that Ms. Farabee put forward are valid in the sense that a site selection has already been made here. The purchase is already done. Well, my advice to clients that make the wrong purchase is sell it. Sell it. We'll get something that's more appropriate for your business. None of your employees live nearby. Your clients aren't here. This location will not support a widget factory. So with that in mind, I just want to let you guys take a step back and ask you, what makes you think that locating the shelter in an unsuitable alleyway would be the best location for a homeless shelter? It's not easy to find. Ask McDonald's, like, hey, let's put a McDonald's in the middle of an alleyway. They're not going to put it there because it's not easy to find. You can't just walk up to it. So I'm putting myself in the shoes of the unhoused. If I was unhoused, much like I do with my clients, if I was a widget customer or employee, how would I feel about that location? Well, if I was unhoused, how would I feel about this location? First of all, if I'm unhoused, probably don't have a cell phone. I'm told there's something in an alleyway. I'm going to be in an alleyway, but it might not be the right alleyway. So all of a sudden, you're creating an unsafe environment for the unhoused, for a vulnerable population of DC, and creating a public health issue and public safety issue, because then all of a sudden, if I can't find this location, or if it's over full, I'll end up sleeping in an alleyway, maybe Green Court, maybe some other alleyway. So with that in mind, realize that your site selection leaves a lot to be desired. Love to be in your advisory committee, as I have been on many boards for many companies, to assist with finding the best location where you can have the greatest impact. I'm not going to get into the construction nightmare that's going to be building in that alleyway and how you're going to juggle the incoming trash trucks and deliveries to the senior community that we have. I'm trying to bring some real world issues to the table, but more importantly, you've missed on the site selection side what is economic studies, economic impact studies. There is no economic impact study on how this is going to affect neighboring businesses, retailers, hotels. Tell me one hotel that puts in their TripAdvisor or the top of their list, we are located next to a low barrier homeless shelter. No Marriott's going to do that. That's going to be a big issue. Secondly, there's a mayor's revitalization plan for downtown. I've read parts of it. I've seen how they want to make Vermont Avenue and this portion of downtown DC revitalized. I don't see where a homeless shelter fits in there. And that's kind of the right hand not knowing what the left hand's doing. So you have a mismatch here where the homeless shelter is actually going to be doing the opposite. And you can do an economic study and try to prove me wrong, but I've been to Seattle. I'm from San Francisco. I'm going to be there this month. And wherever you've had a homeless shelter, you've had a negative impact on property values, both residential and commercial. So explain to me and the constituents how you're not going to create the same economic impact that has happened in those cities. So downtown is your economic engine. You're placing this homeless, shelter in a place where, you can basically burn out or break that engine. So I think that we can find a better location where we can have a better impact. So I'd love to assist you with your mission, which I support. I just think this location from a very objective perspective does not work, and professional perspective. So I'm adding my 2 decades of knowledge, to you, and I'd love to basically take 2 steps back to take 10 steps forward.
So, Administrator Pierre, are you able to come offline and field the why question, ma'am?
Yeah, and I'll speak from the perspective of building something that for the residents that we serve.
Thank
Why
you.
the location? So the location is because I mentioned earlier in my presentation is because there is a high concentration of people who are experiencing street homelessness, unsheltered homelessness downtown. So the location is to actually provide something, a location that they will come into that is near the area that they would prefer to be while they wait for permanent housing. That's one. Actually, many of the clients experiencing homelessness do have cell phones because they are eligible for the free cell phones. So we have outreach workers, we have case managers who literally go and ensure that their clients have access to cell phones if they want. We also provide through the shelter hotline, we also provide shelter transportation. So if someone is experiencing street homelessness and they want to kind of come in, oftentimes they know how to kind of get shelter, even if transportation. Even if they don't know, our transportation, they do rounds, so they would do pick up residents. They have access to where there is an available bed on our census count. And if there is a bed, they will be transported safely to the shelter, door-to-door services ultimately. So they won't, if they're not comfortable, they won't have to just walk, down in an alley by themselves. So in terms of why this location for our residents, it is actually a desirable location to have a low barrier shelter downtown because there currently is not one. And oftentimes the reason some residents who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness downtown states that they do not want to go into shelter is due to the fact that there is not a location. So just answering the question from the perspective of
well, to retort here, you're assuming 100% of your constituents will have cell phones. That is not correct. Secondly, you say that, the clients need to be in this location in downtown. Yes, there's a homeless problem in downtown. I agree. We need to address that. But they can be safely transported to pretty much any site in downtown or in DC. So this exact location is not a must for your services, and you failed to address the biggest issue, which is the negative economic impact that this will have on an area that is primarily workforce, tourist, and resident. So, I understand the unhoused are there, but their needs do not supersede those of the community, and the community are those who are working and living there currently, and we want to support those that are unhoused, but at the same time, go and talk to the hotels, go and talk to the businesses that are in that immediate area and get their feedback first, because you definitely have not done that. And I'm more than happy to assist with that.
So the last thing I'm going to say is that the residents of the district who are experiencing street homelessness downtown are also part of the community, and we do build for their interests as well. So I spoke from the perspective of the residents. They are part of your
but
community.
That perspective is skewed.
It's not because they are experiencing street homelessness.
McDonald's Corporation is a community member. They're community, but they don't trump the neighbors here.
Thank you so much.
So do an economic study first and then come talk to us, okay?
I would like to move forward with
Michael. May I ask, I understand this is a sensitive topic.
Yep.
I'm going to ask for respect, right? We're not here trying to be argumentative. We're trying to answer questions, but it's not fair to get into a back and forth with public servants who are trying to serve the public. So I'll just ask if we can have a basic team agreement that we.
I'm asking for your economic study on this because you already
thank you very much.
Respect here when you walked in without a proper economic study or a public safety.
But we're going to. I appreciate your feedback. We've heard your feedback. Thank you for that. We'll move forward with Michael Edwards.
Hello. So I have two questions. But since I only get one, I can't ask the question of what your budget is. So my question number two is, and this is the one that I'd like to give, is that there seems to be a disproportionate amount of beds in this ANC. And it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that the Supreme Court recently made a ruling. And so I believe that the city now has the authority to put homeless within the city anywhere. And so the argument that they have to be downtown, I think, and again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know the specifics, but the Supreme Court issued a ruling that as long as you provide shelter, it doesn't have to be downtown. And so you could take whatever budget you have, and I don't know what the budget is because I couldn't ask that question, but you could take whatever budget you have and immediately provide housing to probably 10 times the amount that you have in this program. If you took that money and made a cost-effective investment in the city, doesn't have to be downtown, in the city, under the authority of the Supreme Court, and gave them adequate shelter that suits their needs. That's all I've got. Thanks.
I'll take the next 4 questions on the agenda, and then we'll move forward with tonight's agenda. I have Sarah Ann Smith with her hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Pretty much everyone's kind of said everything that we're coming from. Just to let you know, I'm representing an owner right now for Jobbers Realty that owns 1331. We're going to have a vacant that's going to become vacant as of next year, and it's immediately adjacent in the back alley to this. It has such replications on our leasing, business. That's why we're concerned. We are a very company that pays a lot of taxes in that area. It's going to affect us a lot. Bringing in this shelter, I agree with everyone that it has said what they needed to say. I don't think it's a gray area whatsoever. I believe that homelessness needs definite planning, not just in DC, all over, but there's areas, and I hear that you guys say, well, this is their preferable area. Well, I prefer to be by a beach too, but that's just not going to happen, right? And what I want to know is, if you bring this shelter, what's it going to do to our taxes in that area as well?
I'm sorry, I don't know. It's quite sure I understand the question.
So the question is basically just hearing everything. Well, basically everybody who has said everything is everything that our ownership wants to say, and we agree with. But just thinking on the financial, for a business owner, what are the financial impacts going to be on the owner? There's been homeless shelters where you have to pick up stuff. They throw stuff at the windows. Is that just going to be on our ownership to replace windows that are broken or things that get damaged to our property? I just want to kind of see what you've all thought about of, the implications financially on what it's going to take on the business around it.
Any feedback on that?
No, I want to follow up with our I will bring that back to the team and we'll get a response for our next visit, Commissioner.
Okay, great. Sorry, I lost the video of you for a moment, so I couldn't see you on my screen.
Sorry.
It's okay. And so I was like, next we have Josh Mitchell.
Hey, good to meet you all. Chair Schenkel, I would like to join the earlier objection to holding this as a Zoom meeting. I'd like to have this as an in-person meeting. Mr. Ross and Ms. Pierre, thank you both for coming tonight. I know this is a tough meeting. This is a tough issue for all of us. With that said, I have to say I agree fully with Commissioner Groth and former Commissioner Farabee. Unlike them and unlike either of you, I don't have any particular city planning expertise here. I'm just a resident. I live in the Alta on 14th. I just wanted to say we have a great neighbor up the street in N Street Village. It's a block away. I would personally be excited to welcome that kind of neighbor in Greenport. I've heard you talk about outreach to stakeholders. I'm curious what that consisted of. Speaking for myself, the first I heard about this plan was a few weeks ago when we heard about it from our condo president. That leaves me a little bit concerned about the timeline of decisions that are being made here. Mr. Ross, you said that no decisions have been made. But that seems like we're setting ourselves up for a situation where this is a moving target until there's a final decision that we no longer have an opportunity to object to. And I guess my question is, what is our opportunity to revise the decision once the final design has been selected? Thanks.
So the design will speak to a lot of the issues we've heard tonight, right? About concerns about the age of the building, asbestos, concerns about properly shoring up the building, public access in and around the alleyway. So our goal is not to create or select a design that adds or exacerbates that. So all that to say, there are portions of the design that we can receive input on and change. And then of course, there will be portions of the design that must remain only because the design itself was approved, zoning, permitting, specifically the age of the building. We don't know what kind of historical requirements we're looking at until we really get into that space. So again, what we can offer up to the community in terms of design options and selection, our goal is to do that. Like I speaking as David and as the chief of the staff and Ms. Pierre, all of us, we want to ensure that folks can have a voice in as much as we can have a voice in. But I also want to level set and be clear that there will be portions of the design that must remain only because of those issues, Mr. Mitchell.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Stefan Smith, I'm sorry that is up next. I accidentally lowered your hand by accident and I lost you on my list. So if you'd like to come up, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. I was just typing out a message to you, but I just had a quick question for David. If you could please, I know you mentioned a few other locations of these the low barrier shelters. Could you send us a list of these locations where they are?
So
I can see other examples.
So I will send our link to our website to Commissioner
Okay, perfect.
Shanko, and that lists out all of our facilities, sir.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And our final question of the evening will go to Winnie Singh.
Yes, hello. Can you guys
Hello.
hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Winnie Tang. I'm a resident at Alta and an owner at Alta. I must say I'm a bit surprised when I first heard this, which is only being a couple of weeks ago. So before the conversation moved too far away, it's just a very simple question on my side. Like, what is the point of community engagement? I feel like the decision has already been made, and that yes, I cannot object to because I don't really know what the design of the building is going to be. I don't know what the use is going to be. The building is going to be. I don't know what the gender. I don't know what the purpose. So there's no point for me to object because I don't really have anything that I can object to. But it sounds like the decision has already been made, whatever the spectrum of this homeless shelter is going to be. So that's just putting it out there. The other thing is I echo the gentleman who mentioned about the economic study. I would like to see what is the impact of the equity erosion this will happen to the resident at the Alta and other buildings around the area who also owns condos here. This is one of our primary residents and one of our biggest investments. What is the impact on the hotel? What is the impact on local businesses? I think it's equally important for us to take that into account before we decide to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. David, what is the next steps in this process? Should we prepare any written comments for you? What would be most helpful for you?
So first I wanted to clarify, I think for Mr. Schmidt, were you interested in our entire continuum as we tried to do a little explaining this earlier at the beginning, which includes our short-term family housing, our day centers? Or are you specifically interested in our low barrier shelter sites, sir?
I was more curious about the low barrier shelter sites. I mean, if there is a list of other ones too, I'll take the more the merrier.
So I wanted to be clear about that. Thank you. So Commissioner Shanko, I think what is next is I don't know if we make that request now or whether we will follow up after this meeting, but I think we need to come back in November. We will come back. And definitely before that, my goal, we've taken questions down. There are a number of questions and the theme I am taking back is the economic impact. I think Winnie spoke to The equity erosion. Was that correct, ma'am?
Yes, if you're owner, what would be the impact on your property, which could be the main wealth, that you have, right?
Yes, ma'am. So, Commissioner, if you want to take this week to gather comments, concerns, questions, so that we make sure when we come back next month, we have that list with us.
I thought it meant how much volume does it show. Thomas, you need to mute. I'm sorry.
And just know whether it's virtual or in person, we're committed to coming back, sir.
Got it. Terrific. Commissioner Strauss. May I distribute your email address in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put Commissioner Strauss's email in the chat, which is 2c02@anc.dc.gov. If you have additional comments, please send those comments to Commissioner Strauss, and she will compile and we can get those over to DHS. We will provide a time on the agenda for the November 12th agenda. Yes, November 12th agenda. We should have the room at MLK Library for that, which is 401F.
You said 401F, sir?
Yeah, 401F in the library.
And that was November 12th?
November 12th, Tuesday, November 12th.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much for your comments this evening. We appreciate those. And we look forward to the continued engagement around this. And this is a very tough discussion. Anytime that we are in a discussion about neighborhoods and I just thank you for your service and helping and advocating for the district residents who are unhoused.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Schenkel, and to all the residents who joined today. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Pierre, as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Next on our agenda this evening, we will move forward with the MLK Library. Do we have Lena on, Hardy?
Hi, Linnea Hegarty.
Oh, Linnea. Sorry, Linnea. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. So everybody, it's good to be here. I am Linnea Hegarty. I am the Director of Events, Exhibits, and Development for DC Public Library, which means that I handle all of the event rentals and the other revenue generating portions of the library, as well as I run all of the arts and exhibits at MLK and at the 26 neighborhood libraries. So that's permanent art as well as temporary art. So I'm really pleased to see so many partners that we work with on this call and to hear so many mentions of MLK because we love, our role as a community hub, and we're really happy to be, to be playing that role in downtown and the rest of the city. I will say, Michael, Commissioner, you may want to think about moving that meeting out of 401F. It sounds like it might need a little bit bigger space.
Yes.
So to put my event hat on.
I appreciate
but
that.
Moving on to sort of the purpose of being here, I'm going to share my screen. I just have a very, very brief presentation. I know everybody's been here for a while, so I won't take too much of everybody's time. But I did want to share a little bit about Green Book, the exhibition that's coming to MLK and neighborhood libraries around the city, as well as, talk about our request to close the street, to close G Street on Sunday, November 3rd during the day for part of our opening celebration. So the Negro Motorist Green Book, I will not read all of this, and I don't expect you to, but I did want to provide information. So for people who aren't familiar with the Green Book, it was a travel guide that was put together by a man named Victor Green, who was a postman from New Jersey. And he sort of crowdsourced this book, and it contained information about sites throughout America that were safe for Black travelers. And it came into being in the 30s, and it really ushered in this era of entrepreneurship for Black business owners who were able to put their names in Green Book, and sort of that was their way to find business. As well as it really ushered in an era of travel and opening travel up as a leisure activity for Black Americans. So the exhibition that we will be hosting at MLK is a nationally traveling exhibition that was put together by the Smithsonian Institute Traveling Exhibition Service in collaboration with Candace Taylor, who's an author that wrote a book about the Green Book called Overground Railroad. It's a really fantastic book. She's a photographer as well as a writer. And so it's her photographs of Green Book sites around the country. So that's kind of a regional look at the Green Book across the United States. And then to complement that exhibit, we put together our own exhibition about Green Book sites in DC. There were more than 150 sites in DC, which is more than any major city in the country. And as one can imagine from Chocolate City, the stories of the entrepreneurs that ran those sites is really fascinating. And we're really excited to be able to tell the stories of some of these people that are really, untold in the modern era. So the exhibition will be installed at MLK from November 2nd through March 2nd of 2025. So it's a fairly lengthy exhibition for us. We're also going to have a kids exhibition, a teen exhibition. The librarians are doing these displays all over the library. So we're really activating the entire building. And for the opening celebration, which will be on Saturday, November 2nd and Sunday, November 3rd, we're really eager to kind of bring people in and share the story of the Green Book, and also create a lot of programming that will really appeal to a bunch of different audiences that we hope will be interested in the Green Book. So as you can see here, there's a schedule of activities for both Saturday and Sunday. As you can see on Saturday, most of our activities are focused inside the library. That'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. There'll be a children's activity. There'll be a diner in the 9th and G spot with food by Florida Avenue Grill. There'll be a 5th floor lounge with a DJ. There'll be historic performances that will be showing on the screen in the auditorium, along with a panel discussion with hopefully Virginia Ali and Rick Lee from Lee's Flower Shop, and other people who have lived experiences from the Green Book era. And then we're going to have a pop-up Green Book museum. We're really pleased that we've been able to work with so many city partners on this exhibit, including many Smithsonians, DC History Center, and others. And we really want to bring them, and some of the Green Book clubs and sites that are still in existence, which we're really excited about. So we're hoping to bring all of those people to MLK and really showcase them and their institutions. I could go on and tell lots of stories about some of the great people that still exist and their institutions. Sunday, November 3rd, we are hoping to host a vintage car show. One of the stories that I love the most and that inspired this idea for the vintage car show is a club called Old Cars Unlimited, which is possibly the oldest African-American car club in the country that still exists. There are still 4 or 5 members of this car club that are still meeting, and they come together with their vintage cars. And we've invited them and some of other classic car groups that exist in the District of Columbia, with a focus, of course, on Black car owners, which Old Cars Unlimited was, a Black car club. So bringing all of them to the MLK library during the day from 1 to 4 to show off their cars. So we're going to block off the street basically to just have the cars be parked. Of course, we have the emergency lane, as we always do. But one side of the road will be sort of parking for about 30 spots. And then we're also going to have a Teen-A-Rama dance party For those of you who are unaware, Teen-A-Rama was a TV show during the Green Book era that came from DC. It aired nationally. So we say we're having a vintage car show and we're having a vintage Teen-A-Rama dance party because the attendees will probably be on the more vintage side, although we welcome everybody. And then we'll also have food trucks. The planners, what we're going for is a really kind of farmer's market feel out in front, like very low key, no amplified music. There might be one guy with a guitar and a speaker. We're going to have a couple of food trucks. 3, I think, is what we've decided on. The library will be open. Our idea is to have the vintage car show to really honor this part of the Green Book story. But of course, what we're really trying to do is draw people into the library to see the exhibit. So we're really focusing activities on the inside as well as the outside to try to do that. So here is our event plan timeline. So at 7 a.m., we'll park or MPD will park a vehicle, and there will be a dump truck at each end, as has to happen for street closures of this kind on G Street. From 8 to 12, we'll be moving the 30 cars in. Of course, we anticipate that will start on the later end, but we want to give them time to come in. From 12 to 1, we will meet the food trucks and they will park. And then from 1 to 4, the car show will be open to the public. We want all of this to be over and basically done with by the time that the library closes at 5 o'clock. So we end at 4. The idea is, for the most part, everything will be gone, and then we'll open the street up, basically as soon as everybody's gone. So that is the event plan. And then here's where you can see, this is the diagram that we submitted to MSETG, the Special Event Task Force. So as you can see, these green little bars are all the cars. These red dots are the food trucks that we hope to have. And then, we'll have a dump truck and a police car on each side. So that basically says it all. Unless I'm obviously very happy to answer any questions about the exhibit or about the street closure or whatever questions you may have.
I think it's a great idea. I'm always excited about your events at the library. They're always great. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
That's so great to hear. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Great events and great exhibits too. We had great exhibits over the last, couple of years for sure. And we have one.
This is much larger than any exhibit we've ever done.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Very ambitious for us. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed.
We have a hand up with Janice.
Commissioner Lee, did he want to speak?
Oh, yeah, just a quick question. Thank you, Janice. The vehicles will be parked overnight, is that correct? And if so, do you have
That's not
security to
correct.
help? Oh, no?
No,
Okay.
they will not be parked overnight. They'll come in the morning and they'll leave as soon as the car show is over. And by the way, I did not mention that one thing that all of these car owners make very clear is if it rains, we will not have the car show. They are very insistent that they do not travel in the rain. So all of this is weather dependent. Although we'll still have the Teen-A-Rama dance party and the other activities on Saturday will of course occur.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Janice?
Hi again, everyone. Thank you so much. I was a docent at the Museum of African American History and Culture. And as you know, on the second floor, they have the Green Book exhibit. So this is exceptional, and it's important, and it's so important that people know exactly, the Green Book, that Black folks could not use different restaurants, gas stations, places to stay, and that you could literally, you carried a pee can, for you to pee in, because you could literally be killed if you got out of your car in the wrong area. So I'm excited that this is going to be there. I will be down there, absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. Are you doing anything with the Museum of African American History and Culture? I know that this is the Green Book, but are you doing anything with them?
Yeah, they are actually, we're very fortunate. They're a sponsor of this opening celebration. They gave us some
wonderful.
programming support to do it. We've also used some images from their collection in the exhibition, in the local exhibition. And I believe there are some images from from their collections that are in the national exhibit as well. I'm a little less familiar with that, but we've sourced images from them, from American History, from the Anacostia Community Museum, from DC History Center. We've really had a really amazing support. As well, we're really pleased that through this exhibition, we have discovered a collection that we had that was unprocessed of a huge trove of photographs by a man named Edward Fletcher. And these photographs are such amazing content, and they've really never been seen since, he took them during the Green Book era. So we're really pleased to be able to share that collection with the public and now make it available. And Janice, I'm making an official request for you to docent for the Green Book exhibit for DC Public Library.
Well,
we would love to have you.
I'd love to. How do I get in touch with you? Can I put my information in the chat or?
Yeah, absolutely. Or Michael can
Yes.
connect us, I think, probably.
I can connect you as well.
Okay, absolutely.
Commissioner, I'm sorry to be so informal with you.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Terrific. I'd like to move that we send a letter of support for the Green Book event at the MLK Library. Seconded by Commissioner Lee. All those in favor? 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor that we will get a letter off. And I guess I'm sending that to the mayor's special task force. Is that who receives this?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, got it.
Or you can send it our way and we'll of course put it into our packet.
Got it. Okay, that's great. I will do both so we get it there, and I'll send you a copy as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for letting me share details about this exhibition. We hope to see you all on November 2nd and 3rd. And if not then on the 12th, when you will be in our building anyway.
Awesome. Sounds great. And I already put the request in to change the room. Thank you.
Good idea.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
Most definitely. Next on our agenda, we have an update regarding throne bathrooms. And we have Jessica.
Matches long battery. There's a charger in it up. Just take that there.
Hi, Jessica. How are you? Oh, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you making time on this packed agenda, and I'll do my best to keep it brief. But I wanted to just first thank the commissioners and those that have participated in these ANC meetings previously for having us and for your support for Throne. I know you gave support as part of the public space committee process back in last spring and helped us get them out there pretty quickly. And at that time, we promised to bring you data on how it was going and wanted to make good on that, as well as kind of give you an update on the product as a whole. So I will share a little bit about the pilot, specifically about the Indiana Plaza Throne and kind of what's next, and then try to get through that as quickly as possible, and happy to take questions or comments as well, and very eager if anyone has any experience with the Throne and wants to share. So with that, I think most of you are familiar. DC had it was initially a 5-throne pilot. We actually added a throne to Eastern Market Metro Plaza. And most of the thrones were rolled out between end of May, early to mid-June, including the Indiana Plaza Throne, which went out May 28th. This location was identified in partnership with the downtown DC bid, and then was given input from your ANC as well. At the time, I know that there was some concern about the location, but we went ahead and gave it temporary, or you went ahead and gave it temporary blessing with the understanding that it will move. So that's one of the things we wanted to touch on today as well. There we go. So the overall pilot has had almost, and this is through September 30th, so we've broken over the 40,000 barrier, but about 40,000 bathroom visits in the District of Columbia in the pilot period. That's 22 or almost 23,000 unique users, and about 24% of users have returned to do more than one visit. And the highest usage in one day has been 173 uses. We've had about a 96% uptime. So we define that as any time the throne is in use or available during hours of operation. So when it's being cleaned, that's downtime, or if it's offline waiting to be cleaned, it's downtime, or if it's offline for some technical reason. So it's really been made available a great portion of the time. We do have a sign on the outside of all thrones, so you don't have to use it to take a quick survey. 92% of people think it's good or great. Very weighted in the great restroom option. And then I think, one of the things we talked about early on was the use of SMS, tap card, or the app to gain access as a way to promote accountability and enable us to restrict access for people that are repeat offenders and misusing the throne. And really great here, we've only had 4 instances of vandalism. All of them have been graffiti only, primarily on the outside of the thrones. And only 6 users have had their access restricted due to misuse during this time. As far as Indiana Plaza goes, it has been the highest use throne of all the DC thrones. So congratulations. I think based on kind of our teams and cleaners' observations, as well as kind of some guesstimates we can make from the data, you have more kind of one-time users. A lot of this is coming from tourists and those visiting the mall. It's been a huge, we see people walking up with suitcases all the time and things like that. And it's serving a significant number of people. So you from May 28th through September 30th had almost 7,000 uses, almost 5,000 unique users. Only one incident of vandalism. There was some external graffiti. We actually, the downtown DC bid found it before we did, just an hour or so after it got put up, and they took it down. Their clean teams were hard at work. And about 96% have entered with SMS. So just send an SMS quickly, the door opens, they walk in. So very, very easy. And it's had an average cleanliness rating of 4.09 out of 5, with an average of 3.4 cleanings per day. So if you remember, we kind of change cleanings based on data that we're receiving on cleanliness ratings as well as usage. And I would say one of the things that drove that down a little bit was, I think in the beginning, we were getting used to some pretty significant spikes. So you can actually see here your usage over time. You had a very high June 8th, June 15th, kind of early June. The 4th of July was off the hook. I think that was your highest with 157 uses. And during that time, I think we weren't always expecting kind of the high volume, but learned quickly. So just kind of also of interest, highest usage at the Indiana Plaza Throne is on weekends, but still spread out pretty consistently through the week. And higher usage tends to be in the later hours of the afternoon / early evening. Just wanted to kind of put some of the comments we've received up here. So we asked for a cleanliness rating for every use, as you know. And then we ask, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? That's where some people will tell us, hey, there's graffiti on the inside, or tell us other things that they're observing so we can get out there and fix it as quickly as possible. But we also get little love letters sometimes. So apparently we saved somebody's relationship at some point. And other great ones, like I'm beyond grateful for this long and desperately needed public amenity. So a lot of good things being said. I also love this one here. I had to clean, we can't clean after every use, and it is a restroom. So I had to clean poop stains, but it was okay. I was careful. So even, I mean, how many public restrooms do you have people that are kind of making sure that it really stays nice for the next user? So really just, it's been extremely well received. And I think that's across the district, but this one in particular has been kind of a beacon for tourists and those exploring the National Mall. And then lastly, just kind of next steps. I know originally, so we had talked, the pilot technically ended at the end of September, and that was basically up to the council and the mayor's office to include ongoing funding in the fiscal 25 budget. All 6 thrones have been included, so they will be extended through to next fall. We are actively working with the downtown DC bid to identify a second pilot location within downtown, so that we can make good on our promise to move the Indiana Plaza throne. If you have suggestions, please let us know. And then we've also engaged with a DC artist that was nominated for the mayor's award for visual arts, who is going to decorate, and we're going to rewrap the downtown throne as a public art throne, which will be very exciting. I know some of the comments that we heard from your ANC before was just not loving the look. So hopefully we can bring kind of local art to the downtown area through this. We may ask to extend the permit at the current location through November or December while that new location is identified and permitted. It's possible it might actually go serve the holiday market for a while, but we're still in talks with the downtown DC bid about exactly where it will go. So I think that is where I'll leave it. Any questions or comments?
I know the holiday market, they have their own facilities. So putting the throne there may be, duplicating something that's already there. So just a simple thought.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think
Thomas.
we're
yeah. Sorry about that.
Go for it, Lucas. Take it.
No. Hey, Thomas, we're definitely exploring making this an addition into the holiday market, as well as the other restrooms we'll have. So even though we have some other facilities, we want to figure out a way to incorporate this incredible concept into the holiday market. And then as we find a possible home for it on an extended period.
I have 2 questions for you. One is, have you heard anything from neighbors regarding its placement? I know that there was some major concern about it being put here on the block. Have you received any feedback from folks?
Early on, I think we received 1 or 2 comments, but nothing of note. I was actually excited for tonight and hoping maybe some people would give their experience or their updated thoughts now that we have a throne out there. People, it hasn't been kind of a magnet for nefarious activity. It's been, hopefully, we have heard anecdotally that it's helped reduce public defecation and things like that. So if there are comments, would love to hear them.
Do any community members have any feedback or questions? My second question was going to be, is there a reason to move it? If this is the highest used throne in the city?
We could definitely explore keeping it in this location. I think the two comments that were concerned about this location were from you and the Historic Review Board. So we would have to go back to them as well, and see. But now that it's kind of been pushed beyond the pilot period, we could also, do a custom wrap that, maybe even whether it's the art throne wrap or like a historic wrap that maybe even talks about Indiana Plaza and gives some context to the location.
Okay.
Do you think you might want to keep it? What would the process be around that?
I was just curious.
It stands out.
I don't have a preference. I don't, if it seems to me like it has been working very, very well, that it's kind of some of the fears were mitigated, didn't come true, I guess, of what this was going to be. We do have one hand up from M. Young.
Yes, hello, thank you. So can I ask a question? Because I'm hearing some echo there. I don't know if somebody's unmuted.
Yes.
Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can.
So yes, I'm a resident very near the location of the this bathroom, and in our building we were informed that the residents and the businesses around were not consulted about the location. So I can understand that this is being used by tourists and visitors, but this is a really nice, pretty park that we have there, and this is an aesthetic thing. I mean, I think that if perhaps it was moved in between the two buildings, it would be less obvious. And the other thing is a safety concern, because basically that placement right there in that corner has created a traffic blind spot. And it's very near the tables with the swings, which is popular with young school students that come over and use that park regularly. And it has created a blind spot. So there is still some concerns and complaints about this, because I know that in my building, for example, they were quite concerned that there wasn't a consultation about the placement and also these other concerns. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we actually did bring that to the community and had community feedback on the placement. And this was a pilot, and the ANC voted to move forward with this pilot, and we invited Throne to come back to this meeting with their data to show us how this performed, and it performed very well in the city. I just want to put that.
Just leave it.
Put that out.
I can hear it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Are
you in 601 Pennsylvania, Miss Young?
Yes, and can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, and basically, I think that people from my building went last time, and they were the pilot had already been agreed. But I mean, now I don't know if anybody else is from this building, but we were told that there's still opposition towards it. And as I say, if it's moved to not that corner, but in between, it can stay in the park, because obviously this is being used mainly by tourists. And, I don't know why they don't put it in the mall, which would make more sense to have it there. But somewhere where there is not going to be a health and safety issue there, and somewhere where it's less obtrusive, because, it is a toilet after all, and it's in a pretty park, and it's an eyesore.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to give some context to the previous engagement. So we brought this as a potential location as part of the public space hearing process. So at that point, it was not approved, and we came to this ANC meeting. And I believe that there was, Ms. Young, as you're saying, some concern about the location. One of the, and as such, that's why we've been kind of planning to move it after this kind of initial pilot period. Just so folks understand the constraints, this is a district funded program, and so we're somewhat limited in where we can put it. So this is the current location is on district controlled land that is controlled by DDOT. Unfortunately, where you're describing on the other side is NPS. And while we would love to work with NPS and we would love to have these on the mall, and please write them and let them know you want them there, because they are planning on adding 12 new restrooms. Unfortunately, they're not kind of in the network where it's easy to get these through the NPS system. So when we are looking downtown, we're looking at public land that's controlled by the district. So it is somewhat limited.
But can you not move it against the wall or in between the two buildings within that same park? Because as I mentioned, now it is a traffic blind spot. It's a safety issue.
We're looking at totally different locations of moving it. But this is really the only place it would fit on district controlled land. So where you're describing is not controlled by the District of Columbia.
Okay,
unfortunately.
Thank you.
What is in the meantime, so the pilot has ended. What you're looking for another location. What do you need? Do you need something from us at this point?
We do not. We just wanted to come back and make good on our promise to keep you updated.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate your feedback and the data that you've shared, and I'm very excited that this was the highest used throne in the city.
Yeah, that you mean you're excited you won.
We won. I don't know what we won, but we won. And in the area around this has been kept really, really great. So that was another issue that I was concerned about in this process. And I think this has been overall, this has been very successful, and I've heard little complaint about it. But
wonderful.
But thank you very much, and we look forward to its next placement.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll keep you updated.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate you. Thank you. Next on our agenda is we'll move on to APCA, alcoholic beverage and cannabis licensing. We have one application this evening. That application is Tip Tie Inc., a trade name Tip Tie. This is Abra 129851 for a new retailer's Class C restaurant. Do we have anybody from the establishment joining us this evening? Okay, give me 1 second. This is again on this location is again on Indiana Avenue. This is a new Thai restaurant. Here we go. Sorry. Couldn't find new. Oh, this is my rescinded one. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Okay. Am I sharing? I believe so. So this is again a Thai restaurant that will be in place. It's serving Thai food. The total occupancy load inside the premises is 100 with seating for 50. The sidewalk cafe, they wish to have a sidewalk cafe. Oh, they do have a sidewalk cafe, I guess, with a total occupancy load of 80, seating 80, carry out and delivery endorsement. The operations are Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 10, Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Thomas, do they have a cafe outdoor?
No, but that is probably next to the Penn Quarter Sports Tavern.
Yes, it is.
And,
It's directly next to the Penn.
Okay, right. So yeah, I'm excited because
yes,
the sidewalks are very wide there.
Yes,
and I think it's a great spot for a sidewalk cafe.
yes, and they are currently open. They are currently serving food at a location that they don't have the sidewalk cafe set up or serving at liquor or beverages at this point. I have no issues with this. It's an early close for 10:30 outside for Friday and Saturday, 10 o'clock on Thursdays. I would move that we send a letter of support with a stipulated license for this establishment so that they can move forward.
And second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Mhm.
So 3 of 3 commissioners voting in favor of that. So we will get that off to them.
Hey, Michael, did you say they're already open?
They are already open, yes.
Okay, all right.
I
Nice.
walked by there the other night and I was like, oh, what is this?
Yes.
Next up, we have new guidelines regarding the permanent streetery program. This would be the extension of the temporary program until July 31st, 2025. This is D.11099400. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to review the streetery permanencies?
I took a look at some of the ones downtown and had some questions about what's happening in front of the car mounts.
Yes, I think that we should probably ask for that to be removed by DDOT. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, agreed. I mean, they've had that for 2 years. They're taking up like 5, 6 parking spots, and they put up some Jersey barriers, and then nothing's gone in. But they do have seating on the sidewalk, but just
Yes.
not on the street.
It looks to me like from what I'm seeing from this announcement, this has been a little bit of, is anybody from DDOT on that can speak to this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi, Commissioners. This is Christoph.
Christoph, how are you? Oh, there you are. Okay, I was looking for my list of participants. Has this fully been released yet?
No, this has not been fully released yet.
Oh, okay. So they are asking for feedback regarding this?
Yes, these are the draft guidelines.
The draft guideline. This is the draft guidelines. Oops, I'm sorry. I see. The draft guidelines are here. I see. Okay. From November 2024. Okay. I believe that there's a meeting on this on November 14th, which is after our next meeting. I'm wondering if commissioners, you would take the opportunity to review this if you have not already. And we can prepare comments for this to present at that meeting.
I like that idea.
Yeah, because this is a very extensive process and this could take a significant amount of time to review.
Hey, Michael, this is Lucas. Quick,
Yes.
Christoph, I don't know if you know this, but are the ones that were just put up in Adams Morgan, they helped create these guidelines, is that correct?
I can't speak to the ones that we put up in Adams Morgan and whether they reflect or are the ideal type of streetery. But yes, DDOT helped the businesses in Adams Morgan and Adams Morgan Business Improvement District set up these streeteries on 18th Street. So they would be in code.
Yeah, I think those are, if any of the commissioners want to go and check them out,
Yes.
I think those are really good examples of what could be coming down the pipeline. Just
Got
a quick thought. Sorry about that.
Got it. No, I appreciate that.
Thank you, Lucas.
I think that does say that on the website that was a model for this. So yes, thank you for that. So commissioners, if you would review those before our next meeting, that would be awesome. And I'd like to move that we table this discussion until then. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Let's move forward with we have one additional item tonight. Well, two additional items, I'm sorry. The first is the support of the bottle deposit law bottle bill in the district. And is Hannah with us?
Yeah.
Hannah's with us. Hi, Hannah. How are you? Thank you for holding in there with us.
Yeah, props to everyone for your energy and your time. I know it's been a long meeting. So I'm going to keep this short tonight, let everyone go get some rest. My name's Hannah. Thanks. I'm a resident of DC and I volunteer with the 3R Coalition, which is a growing group of environmental and community groups who are campaigning to reestablish a return, refund, recycle system for the district. These are otherwise known as bottle bills. So I'm here tonight to explain quickly what a bottle bill is, explain why bringing it back will be a great thing for DC, and then most importantly to ask that your ANC consider passing a resolution in support of having the DC City Council introduce a bottle bill and hold a hearing on it. We do have a council member sponsoring this legislation, Councilmember Nadeau, and we are, she plans to introduce it as early as this fall. And then the final kind of threshold note is we don't have a draft bill yet. We are hoping to see one soon, but we are advocating for kind of pieces of the bill with Nadeau's office, and we encourage all of our ANCs to advocate for things that they'd like to see in that also. So in DC, currently about 25% of our plastic, glass, and aluminum bottles get recycled. The rest end up in parks, on streets, and primarily in the Anacostia River, which is very polluted. What a bottle bill does is it sets a 10-cent deposit on all beverages sold in plastic, glass, and aluminum containers, with the exception of dairy and dairy alternatives. These deposits are immediately refunded when those bottles are returned. They can be returned at local grocery stores, redemption centers, and we're also hoping that the bill will include funds for businesses, religious institutions, and even large apartment buildings to install reverse vending machines, like the Coinstar machines that you may have seen. These bottle bills are incredibly effective. 10 states in our nation have implemented them. Many other countries have implemented them. Government studies in the US bottle bill states are showing that every state has seen a reduction in litter and an increase in recycling rates from these bottle bills. So we have lots of data that they're working. They also, they encourage more recycling to get into the stream, and they also keep bottles separate and cleaner away from other curbside recycling, which also increases their recycling rate. So, our oceans are warming. We're seeing another horrible hurricane heading towards Florida. I think it's really important wherever we can to reduce emissions. Tons of recyclables get sent to landfills if they're dirty or contaminated, which produce methane, which contributes to global warming. So as the nation's capital, I'm really hopeful that we can get a bottle bill passed again. DC used to have a bottle bill in the 50s through the 80s. Many states in America had them. I'm happy to talk about why those went away, but in the nature of time, I'll leave that anecdote for later. I think that's about it. These bills cut litter, they promote environmental justice, especially for communities in wards 5, 7, and 8 who are living along the Anacostia River. They increase recycling rates, and they also create green jobs. So we'd love your ANC support. I'm happy to answer questions, including kind of offline, or if you'd like me back at your November meeting, I'm happy to come there.
That's great. And the 10 cents is added to each can or each bottle. And then when I was in Massachusetts, I used to take them back to the grocery store, shove them in the little squisher machine, and get my cash or my little slip that I can use at the grocery store for those purchases. So I think this is another great idea to promote recycling, which we don't have good promotions of that. Commissioners, would you I would like for us to review the two resolutions that Hannah had supplied to us. Do you know when Councilmember Nadeau is planning on implementing something like this, or introducing a bill? You said the fall?
Yeah, the fall. There's no set date yet. Later this month, she's holding a roundtable with the bids, who we're very much including in our outreach and getting their feedback about how they want this to work. So that will happen, I believe, before she introduces the bill. I do know they're drafting language currently, but it will be before the new year. Likely
Got it.
A little earlier. And you'd be joining 2 and counting other ANCs who have passed resolutions.
Right.
Got it.
Hannah, this is just for plastic bottles?
Plastic, aluminum, and glass. There's an exception for dairy beverages. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming it's for, nutrition or children. There's also an exception for small mom and pop stores under 2,000 square feet. Given some concern that this new infrastructure would kind of burden smaller stores, there will be an exception in the bill for those institutions.
So aluminum cans will also be okay. Okay. Thank you. Like pop cans, beer cans.
Any beverage is sold in aluminum, so soda, beer, sparkling water, glass, and plastic.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm very happy. Very happy for this.
Yeah, it's exciting. A lot of older DC residents remember, glass bottles. This was before plastic came into the stream, and plastic is really why these bottle bills disappeared. The companies use the bottle bills because glass was all they used, and it was a very expensive asset, so they used the deposit program to get their assets back to them. Once plastic came into play, it's super cheap, and they just throw it out, need it back. So they've been campaigning pretty heavily against these bills. There have also, just to head off one large concern, reasonable concern we've been hearing about whether this will, increase prices for consumers. Consumers will be paying the 10-cent deposit, but that is really easy to get refunded. The uncollected deposits are going to be used to fund lead filtration devices and water bottle refilling stations. So people who don't need the deposits refunded can feel good about contributing. There was a study done by Massachusetts's Department of Environmental Quality about various states, and they found that, besides the increase due to the deposit, prices between beverages were not higher, and they were exactly the same in states with and without bottle deposit laws. So, yeah, happy to answer any other questions. I encourage you to review the resolutions, make it your own. And again, we're at a cool place in the legislation right now. We're all still very much gathering input, and we have some good model legislation from other states, but we want to make it suitable for DC and for our constituents' needs. So
All right.
Right.
Michael, is the resolutions, I haven't had a chance to review them, but are they very long? If not, maybe we can just pass the resolution now and just get it off our plate.
I think we should probably review I think we should probably review them.
They're
Okay.
both page, I think one is 2 pages.
Yeah. Just so that we are very clear about, the process and what we're consenting to and et cetera, because that will come back to haunt us.
Okay.
If
At
I
times.
just clarify one point to make that discussion easier between your commissioners, we're not asking you to vote on the specific content of this bill. It doesn't exist. We're just asking you to consider expressing your support for the broad contours of bringing back a deposit program in DC, and to kind of endorse council to introduce the hearing on it.
I like that idea completely. I think I would be totally willing to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like why not,
Yeah. So
but that's why it's helpful to have you guys kind of support. So
Thomas, I would be willing to move that we send a resolution to Councilmember Nadeau regarding the support of a bottle deposit law in the district, a reintroduction of a bottle deposit law in the district, and the development of that, and it's so they can start to work on it and have hearings and et cetera. Second, okay. Seconded. Okay, all those in favor? 3 of 3 for that. We will get something together and I will let the commissioners review it. Okay. Thank you, Hannah.
yeah, thanks for having me. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any other follow-up questions, I can connect you with colleagues and folks who know the answers. So
that is great. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you being here, and what a great idea. Great concept. The final item on our agenda tonight is related to the no left turn on 11th Street. The restrictions of the left turn on 11th Street. We tabled this at our last meeting and did not take this up. I'll just quickly review this.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. I know Don is here and he sent an email. Don, do you want to jump in? I know that you're trying to maybe get this moved to a later date, since you guys have gone and gotten some counsel. Don, do you want to jump in here real quick?
Hey, good evening.
Hey, Don.
How is everyone?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
I sent a brief email late. Sorry about that. I didn't catch the meeting. It was moved up, so sorry about the late notice. I represent the owners at 1050 K Street and been working closely with the other 2 ownerships. We just like a little bit more time. They've thrown this on us, and we've engaged attorneys and we've engaged engineering firms to see if they can assist us with just even the possibility of adding center turn lanes.
Adding a center turn lane to the process.
Yeah, left turn lane. If you look the rest of 11th Street, most of them have it.
Right. Is there room on 11th Street? Up there in this area?
I'm sorry, there was backfeed. I couldn't
sorry.
hear what the question was.
Is there room up in that area on 11th Street for a center turn lane?
Well, appears to be the same width as above us, just north of us, on
Oh, yeah, I
above
see.
K Street to 11. It just narrows. It doesn't narrow. It's just not one in that section. So
Yeah.
again, we've engaged an engineering firm, traffic engineering firm. They worked for City Center when they did the traffic light for their setting. So we've engaged them to help us come up with a plan to present to DDOT.
Got it. Got it. And you are aware that the filing notice is October 17th.
Absolutely. And we're online to have our presentation to them.
Got it. Got it. So, what my suggestion was for the ANC is I've heard from folks as well that this is not a thoughtful plan. It would cause people to have to go all the way around the block in order to access certain garages. And when they exit, it would have them go the opposite direction in order to go south on 11th Street. I understand that this is being put into place due to a safety issue with turns, no turns, like people turning in the opposite direction. I don't think we need additional flex posts in the center medium. I cannot stand all the flex posts that we have that are reflecting when we drive in the district right now. And I do like the idea of a center lane. My proposal was for the ANC to vote or send a letter not in support of this, but to find another avenue to improve safety other than this flex post barrier that is going to go down this line.
Also, Michael, if you don't mind me sharing, I did a lot of research around 11th Street, and I found 4 other examples on exactly 11th Street between New York Avenue and Pennsylvania. They had similar left turns without the flex post. So if that does happen here, just know that those flex posts will also happen all along 11th Street, and I think it's going to cause tremendous issues all throughout that main intersection that is north and south. So just wanted to give that,
yes,
to also put more support on your letter of no support for this approach.
And these other locations, they also have no turn signs?
They do not. That was how we got DDOT to remove them, was we were able to provide these 4 examples on 11th Street referencing them that still allowed left turns. So why was this one any different than the other left turns that are already happening in that on that street?
Got it. I agree. So I just think it's going to add confusion to this area, and I'm not sure why this is selected. Christoph, do you know why this was selected as a location for this?
Yeah, I can speak to that and also to the other locations. The reason why there was no left turn here was because of the conflicting driveways on the east and west side of 11th Street. On the other blocks of 11th Street where you can make that turn, that left turn, there's not a driveway. Where if a car was exiting the driveway on the east side of 11th Street, making a left turn, and a car was exiting the driveway making on the west side, making a left turn, that they would conflict. I believe that is why Don mentioned the possibility of having a center turn lane. But that is something for them to present to DDOT.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that feedback as well. Nancy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Do we know what Asbury Church thinks about this? Has anybody talked to Asbury Church for their
D-
use of
DDOT
that
has
garage?
spoken.
Yeah.
Hi, this
Benefit.
is Christoph with the District Department of Transportation. DDOT has spoken with Asbury and we're in communication with them. And from our meetings, they have not expressed any support for centerline hardening.
Have not. Is that what you
They
said?
have not.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Commissioners, I'd like
Have
to.
there,
Oh,
just
go
a
ahead.
quick question. Have there been any accidents? Is that why you were doing this, or why this is being suggested?
Yeah, it's there have been crashes on 11th Street that were due to left turns, cars exiting the driveway. However, this is also just a dangerous traffic movement. And our engineers have recommended that this be no turn on this block because of the configuration of the street and the driveways.
Got it. I would like my suggestion is, and I'm gonna put this in the form of a motion, that I move that we send a letter opposing the center line hardening along 11th Street and looking for alternative solutions to this area, including but not limited to a possible center turn lane.
What does a center turn lane accomplish, Michael? I'm wondering.
It allows people not to go across 1, 2, 3 lanes, two lanes of traffic in order to turn. So they would have to go across the lane, like if I was turning from 1050 K Street, I would have to go across the northbound lanes, both northbound lanes, and go to the southbound lane, where the center lane would be that I could go into the center and merge into the right-hand lane, I guess, south.
But that center lane would only just be for, I guess, turning and merge. Well, turning that center lane won't be for vehicular traffic, right?
Correct.
Oh, I don't know. Do you think we should table this? I guess the gentleman said that they were trying to engage a traffic engineer to come up with some other alternatives.
If we table, we can certainly table. If we table, we lose the opportunity to comment, because the comment period ends on Thursday, October 17th.
Right. Yeah, no, I know that block, and I remember walking down that block with my kids, taking them home from school, and I know what the issue there is. There are driveways. And yeah, and I guess it never crossed my mind, but yeah, cars do come and go, and basically the opposition is that some drivers don't like the fact that they'll now have to go around the block before they can go in the direction that they want to go, right? Yeah.
Yes, it requires you to go around
Right.
in order to access or to leave the garage.
And it's just that one block that's the issue, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know, Becky, what do you think? I mean, that's more your area. But I do remember taking my kids. I mean, that was on the way home, on our way home from school. That was one of the streets we would take, getting home. Is Becky there?
I
Becky, what
don't
do you
have a
think?
strong opinion. I think that, Michael, you have a lot of experience with these sorts of projects, and I trust your instincts.
Well, I think that there needs to be an alternative to this, because this is going to impact businesses It impacts the church. Asbury Church has had significant issues with some of the GDOT plans that have gone into place.
I think, Michael, if you have serious reservations, if we register a comment that's negative, you're going to catch more people's eye. I think you only have something, you only benefit if you have reservations and you let them know.
Right.
Besides just passing another resolution approving.
Yes.
Like we're not killing this project. We're just making sure they take
They
notice
consider all
that
alternatives.
we're serious, that we have serious questions about it.
Yes.
Right. I mean, Chris, how many accidents have there been as a result of this problem that you're trying to solve?
I don't have that data handy at the moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And the other thing with these center barriers that, after a while they get all torn up and driven over, and then they're an eyesore.
Yes. Or on 9th Street, someone has removed one of the little posts so that they can go straight from K onto the turn lanes on 9th South now. I don't like the flex posts at all.
Yeah.
So my motion that was on the table, I don't have a second for it.
I'll second it.
Okay. It is seconded. All those in favor? So
I'll vote against.
2 voting in favor.
Yeah.
Those oppose?
Up.
Okay, you oppose. Okay. 2, 0, 1. Okay, got it. I'll send a letter off so that we can get that filed with them. There are no other items of business tonight, I don't believe.
Oh, one last item, Michael. I sent you.
Oh my gosh, there's 2 items of business. Yes, I'm sorry. So sorry. Go ahead.
Just take a look at your inbox. I sent you a quick budget.
Yes, I sent back a comment to you.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Let me pull it up right now then. Well, wait, what was your comment?
I will, I can show you what I suggested.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
No, yeah, please.
Where's my screen at? Why can't I open my screen? Hold on a second here. Oh, I see. Hold on, let me stop.
Yeah, I got too many windows open too.
Sorry about that, folks. Okay. I proposed the following back to you. Oops.
I see your screen now.
I proposed adding, this is the 2025 budget.
Yes, sir.
That were proposed. I proposed adding $5,000 for personnel with the goal of shifting some of these purchase services that we have down here up to this line item at some point. So that we could have that person also do our minutes, coordinate our letters, etc. We do need $230 for our post office box.
Good.
I think this was all the same. I added your 5 for a grants program. Here. I kept your 5 for the minutes because that's what we've been kind of running. Bank charges at 100 and other charges. I moved it up to 975 so that we could pay for the internet fees that will be tacked on there and the domain fees.
Very good.
So that leaves us with a disbursements of about 16,000 if we use all this, and an income of about 9,000. So we're heavy on disbursements, but these are items that have not yet been realized in the process, and we do have savings for the grants program that we can utilize. Otherwise,
and also
the same.
Yeah, and also we're going to, I just got an email from Don that we're going to be getting another disbursement if in fiscal year 2024. So we'll be up to the 9,084.58
Yes.
again. So
Got
there
it.
you go.
Awesome. So that's my suggestion on the budget.
Yeah. Okay. I second that.
Okay. Do you move to submit? You want to put a motion in place?
Yeah. I move that we approve this proposed budget that will total disbursements of $16,555.
I'll second that. All those in favor? So 3 of 3 voting in favor of that. I also sent you all the minutes from November. Not from November, from September. There were no changes to the minutes that I saw when I was reading through them. I don't know if you all have had an opportunity to look at them or not. No? Okay. Do we want to table it till the next meeting? Tabling till the next meeting.
Okay.
With that said, I'd like to move that we adjourn our meeting.
Woo!
Second.
Seconded. All right, done. Awesome.
You know,
Thank you all
we're doing
so
we're,
very
we're
much.
doing our condo budgets now, our annual condo budgets, and our ANC budget was just like, took a fraction of the time.
Yes, it takes a fraction of the time to do that. Absolutely, for sure. But that's in place. I am going to get letters out right now because I'm leaving on vacation in about 7 hours from now.
Where are you
So
going, Michael?
I'm going to Japan. So
Oh, very nice.
yes. So
don't oversleep. Don't miss your flight, Michael.
no, I will not oversleep. I will not oversleep. I'm all packed, ready to go. If you send the budgets over to the ANC, the proposed budgets, and that means we can write checks.
Yes.
I sent you the minutes for September that you can supply her. These are not yet approved minutes. And if you send me the signature things, I can do that while I'm sending these letters out tonight.
Sounds good. I'll work on that right now.
Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you all on the flip side. Bye.
Bye-bye.